with regards to social media. However, I believe that in as much as social media seems saturated, I don't think everybody is there. Let's think about the woman who lives in perhaps the Bono East region with her family, who doesn't even know the dangers that is happening in Niger currently. And with regards to the question the doctor asked, usually someone might exude all those qualities and characteristics you shared with us. However, in real life, it is contrary to what they are putting out there. So, to her question, how do you touch base with reality and put yourself together in a way that people who aren't on social media can also be influenced by you? Thank you.
All right. One more, and that'd be, oh, okay. Whoa, okay.
Hello. Okay, Ogugwam Chamaka Blessing. So this is my question. As a content creator, you're very good at what you do, you're confident, you're consistent, but you don't get bigger brands to work with. So my question is, how do you go about it?
Okay.
Thank you.
We have some in front. It's about 2 people in front. I'm sure that would be all for now. After these 2.
Hello, good morning. Once again, actually it's noon, 1 p.m. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Harriet. I have a question. It is a privilege for me to be here, and thankfully we have Jefferson here, we have His Excellency seated in those seats. My question is, it appears we have everyone that matters when it comes to amplifying our voice in the public space. I'd want to believe that more than half of the people here are people who promote something on social media, if not all of us. We deal in one thing or the other. My problem is the fact that we talk about media synergy, and I know Jefferson can relate to that. I know Excellency can relate to that. I want to believe we can also relate to that. How about influencer synergy? Because sometimes there are issues of national interest, and we leave it solely to mainstream media. Maybe I'm talking in this direction because I'm a journalist, but I wish there would be that synergy when it comes to influencers as well. In a case of this nature, where do you find yourself, and which one do you really flow with? Is it the money? Because you have the numbers. All of them have so many numbers, people following them. But then, do you do the money, or you do the needful, the necessity, as in contributing to national development and even the world at large? How do we, Jefferson, to you, how do we get these influencers in this room, prominent influencers, to begin to learn more? What will drive their interest to begin to pay attention to the world at large and national interest or issues? That's my question. Thank you.
Okay. There's one gentleman there, and that'll be all for now, please.
Yeah, thank you so much. My name is Emmanuel. I'm from Nigeria. I'm going to draw my question from what she mentioned, talking about synergy, which technically could be an issue, because I believe influencers, whatever they do is based on their opinion, their interests, their passion, right? What drives them, which could be different, right? Now, this leads me to my question, right? I mean, in Nigeria, recently we had an election, right, in February, which led to a lot of controversies. Some are for this candidate, some for this candidate, and all that. Now, you mentioned something like influencers need to be careful about what they put out there. Now, coming from that angle, I see influencers working on a eggshell. They are trying to be careful. They don't want to say too much. They don't want to say this so that they don't say this. Now, won't this affect, technically how they criticize the functions of the government or criticize the administration? Right. Personally, from Nigeria, I'll be too careful to criticize President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, because in the next 5 years or 10 years, he may want to make me a minister, and right. So this is it's like a thin line, right? So we'll not be able to criticize the government as we should as influencers in code, which is part of our, responsibilities as influencers and even as journalists, right? So that is my first question. Now, the other one is about, nobody's talking about the morality, right, in the social media space. In our generation now, we see a lot of disrespects, you don't know who you are talking to, you just say things on the social media space and all that. You just criticize government without fact-checking, like you mentioned, right? And we've seen a lot of governments shut down the social media space just because of sanity and all that. Now, how do influencers come together to agree, to manage this in quotes? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I think every question being asked is so relatable, and please give them. Let me
give the prospective honorable the mic first.
Thank you very much, Excellency. I think the issue about putting anything out there and being careful is just a matter of being responsible for whatever you put out there. Anything you say, you have to own it. And so you just have to bear in mind that whatever I am saying, it is something that I can justify it in the near future. Like this example that you gave, I think if for us, growing up in the 80s and 90s, if we had had these kinds of opportunities where you have social media all over the place, where you have people, tweeting and saying all those things, if we had had those opportunities, I am sure there would have been a couple of people who would have, found wanting to the law. Because it is actually very difficult even to control yourself now, because a lot of things are happening. Every single day you wake up in the morning, there's a story that is coming up. By the time you wake up, to attack or to, take responsibility of whatever you had put out there yesterday, something new is on today, and so you are not even able to defend whatever you said yesterday. There are people that are commenting on issues that you had posted a month ago because they are just seeing it, and they would think that, well, replying or responding to whatever you put out there, for them, it is the matter of the day. So I would just have to say that we just have to be responsible for anything and everything that we put out there. Bear in mind that the world that we find ourselves in is too small a village. It's so small. On my campaign team in Ablekuma Central, for example, I have a communications team, and some of my communicators are living in China. Some are living in the US. Some are living everywhere, and these are Ghanaians who have traveled there. And so there is no more a barrier that will prevent them to contributing to whatever is happening in the constituency. And so being responsible is very key. I think my brother also raised a very interesting thing about giving an intro to whatever is happening, in Niger. Let bygones be bygones. I am no more the journalist that you used to know. And so any intro that I could give now could have its own implications as to taking sides. But what I can tell you for a fact is that, we are in a sub-region that is quite volatile now. Mali, Burkina Faso, now Niger. These are situations that are quite worrying. And we were lucky at the time when we were chairing the Economic Community of West African States, or ECOWAS, when President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo was the chair. He was lucky to have found a diplomatic way of resolving, those issues. I think the story that we find in Niger now is quite different, where an elected president, President Bazoum, has been overthrown. Nigeria is the head of ECOWAS now. In the last ECOWAS summit meeting that they met in Abuja, there is a consensus, and that consensus still remains, that the West African Standby Force, which is the military division of the Economic Community of West African States, military intervention is always the last resort. It is never the first. You can only go in militarily when all negotiations have failed. Because, mind you, we have an example to set. Are we adopting and embracing the democratic, governance that we have all adopted or accepted as a sub-region, or will just sit down for, military interventions to be happening and all that without intervening. I think it's a complex situation. And so I'm sure you have a very great interest in whatever is happening in Niger. But I can tell you for a fact that, things are under control, and let's believe and trust in our leaders to be able to resolve it for us. Mind you, even before the Nigerian, coup d'etat, we already have the backlash where you drive on the streets of Circle and along the airport road, you see, people from Niamey, the mothers and children already on the street begging. So you can imagine if things get out of hand in Niger, the kind of effects that is going to have on our economy. Already the world is struggling, and we are also, struggling economically. And so it is something that we really have to take seriously, and then also be mindful of the things that we say about what is happening in Niger on our social media platforms. I think at this time it is peace. That is what we should be preaching, so that at the end of the day we can have a sound, economic situation in our country like we are all praying for. Real life and fake. Always bear in mind, you are real life. Anything you see out there is fake. You are real life. The woman that is in Dubai, you are in, let's say, you find yourself in a small corner somewhere in Choco or somewhere in Mambruk in the Ablekuma Central constituency in New Russia. You live in a hamlet. You wake up in the morning, there's a lady who is sitting in some, cruising in Dubai, and then all of a sudden you want to be like her. Where you are is the reality. Where she is not your reality. Keep that in mind, and you will not have an issue with fake life. Ambassador, I think these are the things that I can say for now. You can continue with the other questions.
Thank you. Thank you. Very, very, very insightful. So just a few thoughts, and again, they randomly will pick up on some of your points or not. But first of all, I situated your role as influencers as leaders. So leadership is a lonely place, whether you like it or not. The moment you lead, I lead in the UN, and you hear, even I hear I have nicknames. Some of them are not great nicknames. So remember I told you about resilience? You're going to need to build resilience. Yeah? There's a saying from that it's not every dog who barks that you must stop and respond to. Otherwise, you'll spend your whole life responding to dogs barking, and you'll be distracted. In fact, distraction, the aim of distraction is to stop you from doing what you're focused on doing. So be resolute. There's also a saying from my village. It's not every rain that falls that you put bucket to collect. You collect rubbish. So, you need to build a number of personal strategies, and that's not undermining the impact of bullying, particularly for women, particularly for sexual and gender minorities, that will happen to you when you speak your own truth to power. But remember that is also the role of an advocate. You can't expect, if you're aiming to be popular with everybody, then you are also part of the fake environment, because you can't be. You can't be. And so figuring that out is really important for you. On lifestyle, kind of a lot of the people who are around lifestyle, and depends on what you're selling on lifestyle as an influencer. Of course, that may not be your reality. I think that message is more for us here on the continent, particularly young people who quickly want to aspire to achieve stuff. I'm also Nigerian. We see this in Nigeria. Everybody wants their G-Wagon now. This instant gratification. In fact, there were things I removed I didn't speak about, but this idea that, instant gratification happens, that people become the people they are overnight, it's just not true. And that's if you're peddling that as your influencer lifestyle, then ask yourself, when we talked about all the things we talked about, values, integrity, all of these things, are you really, you're probably doing harm. So you probably shouldn't be doing that. So, you know, positive change for bigger issues, finding that there's so much going on that you're drowned out. You know, always start in concentric circles. This is a lesson in life. Find the spaces around which you will get resonance for the issue that you are talking about, and build from there. It's the same story. If you want to go from a zero issue to a hero issue overnight, it's unlikely to happen. And strategies are built very carefully. And as influencers, remember, social media is just one tool that you'll need to use. If I describe to you how a bunch of young people in Akwa Ibom State got their state government to take them seriously and do some work and do something around young people's empowerment, they did a whole raft of things. So it's a bit like you're in this room and you want to define what this building looks like from only in this room. You need to see the whole building. They'd use social media as their key tool, but they didn't just tweet things in the public. They also identified each of those legislators. They found their social media handles. They built relationships with those people. They met them in person. They found who was key in the government, so actually who had the state governor's ear. They did a whole raft of things. And so when you see the result, but you don't understand the work that went into getting that result, then you're just seeing just a portion of that story. And so you have to build your issue. And in fact, there isn't an issue. Let me stay here in Ghana. The Affirmative Action Bill has been on the table and being discussed for over 10 years. The Right to Information Bill that this current government passed was on the table for over 10 years. Working on the UN side, I've been working for 30 years on issues of peace. We started working on the Small Arms Bill, the Small Arms Convention that was signed in the United Nations, I think about 8 years ago, for 20 years before that bill was signed. So if you come to the table and think, if I don't have instant success and instant gratification now, then you don't really believe in the cause that you are fighting anyway. And those who will fight it will go on without you. And they will call you fake news when you turn up at the time for the party and then say, hey, we did great. They'll say, my friend, get out from here. You are not part of this. So, you know, walking on eggshells, really an important point. So here's my view. Are you speaking truth to power? Because if you're speaking truth to power, remember that many people who speak truth to power, that's actually what brings them to the attention of the government. They're actually going like, we haven't heard anything new or different. That guy is talking or that woman is talking about something new or different. Bring them closer. So actually, you shouldn't be scared. If you're saying what is really, really powerful and truthful and a genuine idea, it will actually elevate you and bring you closer quicker than saying, let me just be a yes person. Because actually, you be a yes person. So if your aim, like I told you at the beginning, what's my why? If my why is I want to change something, I want to create something, I want to bring justice to something, of course the how is important, but that message will drive you. And if in 10 years' time, is it, you know, it depends on your position on Bola Tinubu. If he's your kind of like guru and go to all, then of course you probably will be already singing the same song with him. But actually, if some of the things you're concerned about are not being addressed, then you should talk about them. And maybe the next guys who come into power will be saying, that's the person who had the courage. Remember, I told you courage and courage of confidence. That's the person who had the courage to say those things, even at the possible expense that they may not have become minister tomorrow. So if you sell your soul, remember you can sell. Many of you here are brilliant at this. Get enough tweets, get enough likes, find a good sponsor, get some money, and you're singing to the, but you may not be telling the right story. So, you know, access issues, of course. And this is why I said, listen, because actually, if you're at your most powerful, you're telling the story of those who can't tell the story themselves. That may be an internet access issue, it may be a smartphone issue, it may just be the ability to articulate a story the way you can articulate that story and help their voice to be heard. And then suddenly an MP will hear it from that area, and make sure that MP, you find that MP's Twitter handle, go to that community, take the video, make sure the MPs don't just post it mindlessly. That's called spraying and praying. Don't spray and pray. If you really want to bring change, then find the people. Like I told you about the young people trying to get a new policy on empowerment. Find the people who can make a difference. Same thing I was saying. You want a bank loan, go and discuss it in Mokola Market, or come and discuss it inside a bank. And if you don't think the power or the rules are fair, and that brings me to synergy, then find voices like your own and amplify. These rules aren't fair. You must bring us, collateral before we can give you a loan. A lot of women don't have collateral, so this is unfair. And there are people working on saying, what kind of loans do banks need to create that are tailor-made for the different communities that they're in? If you're helping to break that space open, you will find people who will follow you in an instant. And so figuring out and knowing what those barriers are is kind of really important. Fake it till you make it. Listen, everybody has to have confidence. If you are so convinced, and I know this because my partner talks about it, she talks about it all the time, because she's in the entrepreneurial space and does quite a lot of work on social media. Men can tend to feel super confident that they know what they know before they start. But actually, I still think that if you know what you know, then if you already know what you're going to do, your next job is going to be, or your next challenge, then probably it's not a challenge anymore. Anyway, because if you have such supreme confidence, then you're probably wasting. You're underplaying, you're under punching. Women tend to have more self-doubt. That's just because of the way society has been built up. So there's extra courage of conviction that you need, and you need reinforcers around you. So personally, surround yourself with fans too. Don't surround yourself with people who just say, psychophants, but surround yourself with people who build you up, who enable you to feel confident. It's the same sort of thing about the imposter syndrome that you'll face. You need that. Take feedback. Don't take feedback always as criticism. Even as I sat down there, I asked Harriet, was I making any sense? Because you have to take the feedback. And so if you're not prepared to take feedback, then you won't improve. You won't improve. You simply will go like, oh, they're a hater. They said I didn't do well. Then you will never improve. So if you take that feedback, if you work on your confidence, have people around you who help you to build that confidence, it does take courage. And that's why you're so important. And it won't happen overnight. I'm just trying to see quickly whether there are things that you have to deal with here. At the end of the day, though, and I'm talking about synergy. There's synergy versus competition, and of course, when you start to look for how am I going to turn this to revenue, they need to come to you. Otherwise, you get no revenue now. They can't give everybody the revenue. So there is a competitive side to you. But you must also collaborate with others. But it's interesting, this is no different from any other sector. Now, if you wander around this town, you'll see some of the best places that people eat food. They're all in the same space. And they're actually building off each other. You look at certain industries, people actually aggregate around a space in order to achieve that success. So competitiveness is not necessarily in conflict with collaboration, and I talked about this. Musicians who also want their brand also do collaborations, which is why you see them collaborating. So you will need to collaborate in order to build that synergy, but you shouldn't then become gatekeepers. Because remember, for every voice that you suddenly gather 5 million followers and it becomes mainstream, there are other voices outside also seeking entry at any given point in time. So don't become a gatekeeper that excludes other people. Otherwise, you've become so successful that you've now become the norm. And so this is why I say these things are actually quite complex and complicated. And actually, part of this thing is actually every day, like we all do before we go to work, because this is a job. You sit down and you think about, what's my day like? What are the messages I'm going to have to communicate on? And I'll end on this Niger note, just to give you an example. And what are the things I'm going to have to communicate on? And what's the balance I need to be able to communicate on that? And constantly, as a leader, if your real ultimate aim is influence, you'll always be asking yourself, how will I tell this story so that people hear me? Because it's not the lack of being the ability to say what you want to say, it's actually the ability of people to hear it that really counts. So just finally on Nigeria, of course I work for the UN, so you'd expect me to hold a peace, my position around peace and security. But remember, it's peace and security and democracy and justice. This was what led to the UN being founded in 1945 after that devastating, brutal war called the Second World War. And so, of course, we want peace. There are principles that sit in society that definitely tell us that democracy, the ability of people to choose who leads them, is much better than someone using pure brute force to take over power and run. So we know that. But we also know in the reality that democracy has also been bastardized to some degree on the continent. But you can't throw away the baby with the bathwater. Just because democracy has failed in certain places, we still aspire to the democratic principle that everybody has a say in this. And so ultimately, you will decide in your lives what is it important to fight for and where is it that you dialogue. Of course, dialogue is the key. The whole existence of multilateralism is that to solve some of the world's worst and difficult problems, we need to talk. Because if we don't talk, we really won't solve them. I can only brutalize you for so long before you rise up. You can only brutalize me for so long before I rise up. So clearly, dialogue is the best way to go. And I don't think for a minute that war is the first choice of action. We also live in a continent that's poor. We really spend our time expending bullets made by somebody else with somebody else's technology on each other rather than find solutions. But sometimes a threat is a useful way to get us to the space that we need to. So I think that's the piece I would say there. And if you follow, always look at what I find comments more interesting. So yesterday when I think the chief of ECOWAS spoke, I saw Ghanaians saying, but why are they not holding this meeting in Nigeria now? Why are they bringing this kind of wahala here? So you read the comments and you get the flavor, and you can already tell that most Ghanaians really don't want war. They want peace. And they're like, let's dialogue. You'll also see people say, who the hell is the UN? What are you talking about in this matter? So sometimes, actually, when we don't say too much, it's because less is more. If you talk too much, you actually aggravate the problem. You don't help to resolve the problem. So I think this is, influencing in practice. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I hope all our questions have been answered because I learned a lot. Thank you so much, His Excellency and Mr. Saki. Thanks a lot. This year's Influencers Conference wouldn't have been possible without the help of some of our partners. And so on that note, I'd like to say a very big thank you to EcoBank Ghana, Cricover, Tackle Hubs, Authors Global, Bash Media Network, Don P Winery, Elevate, Ego Tickets, Berry Balm, Dovam, Seligali Foundation, African Woman Reinverted, Kikis Pot, and also to every one of you seated here for taking out the time to be part of this year's conference. We have a lot of topics to be discussed ahead, but we'd like to take a little break to entertain ourselves a little. And so I present to you Clever Star, the poet.
Okay, good afternoon. Please, my name is Clevester the Poet, and I'm going to talk about influencers. Yes, we are the influencers. We have the power to shape and sway the opinions of our followers. We have the greatest impact on social media space. Ahenunso yakahoma pa magana ne wiaze nyinara be a global village prekope ampa ye dimakoten pa humma yenshe hen marketing spheres. We go beyond being classified as a tool for marketing. Ampa, we play a key role in shaping the culture and value of social media communities. Ye etibir ye shehen amambrado. Ye ma etibir be ye embrempon. We are the influencers, and we have cultivated a large followers, and we engage our followers through our content and personality. Ye demonstronko, our personality alone, ye fesusu maododo. We go beyond using our platforms to raise awareness about important social issues, such as mental health, body positivity, and environmentalism. We interact conversation. We engage our followers by responding to comments and messages and fostering a sense of community among our audience. We go beyond using our influence and platforms to shine spotlight of other users and creators. We create reciprocity and collaboration. Yes, we build loyalty, we build trust and goodwill within our social media community. We build loyalty and we engage our community that lasts for years to come. We are transparent about values. We foster a sense of community. Yes, we are influencers, and as brand ambassadors, we throw spotlight into others. Yes, my name is Clevester the Poet, and we are the influencers. Thank you, Medahumas.
A lot of people at this age could even speak before a crowd, even up till now. So please put your hands together for Clevester. Okay. Thank you, Clevester, for that awareness through poetry. I'd also like to invite Influencers Hub to do a brief presentation. After this presentation from Influencers Hub, we'll be moving into the next set of speakers and sessions of conversations and discussions. So please, Influencers Hub, come on stage.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Michael, and I'm the founder for Influencer Hub. So Influencer Hub, we are a digital marketing company and we are focused on digital marketing, campaign marketing, and influencer marketing. So that's basically our niche, and we help businesses and brands reach more people. So basically, that's what we do. That's our banner over there. So any person who is into business, an entrepreneur, a startup, and you want to elevate your brand, you can reach us. And one thing we are also doing, as I mentioned with the influencer marketing, is that we help content creators focus on their content whilst we do the business aspect, as in linking brands to you so that you can reach more people. One project we are very delighted to speak about is our new project, which is Influencer for Good. So most of you here were talking about how you could create social impact and reach more people with positivity using your content. So Influencer for Good, it's a new project we are launching out, we are throwing out there for influencers to come on board so we can harness your creative ideas, your platforms to reach more people, change the lives of people, and impact lives of communities as well. So I don't want to speak much, and we would have our stand there when the whole program is over. Our details are there, and anyone could feel free to contact us and learn more about Influencer Hub. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Michael. I think I'll be contacting Influencer Hub very soon. Okay, moving on. This next segment is going to be covering the conversation. The topic is how influencers. Okay, I beg your pardon. We have to skip that particular one because the speakers are not in right now. So, moving forward, we're about to speak on bringing dynamism, growth, and skills through influencing. And the person to moderate this session is a very good friend of mine, even though she's become a rich woman now. And now when you call her, her PA will pick up the call. She's a former beauty queen. She's an actress. She's a fine lady who knows her job. She'll be moderating this particular panel session. And to speak on this session is the CEO of Ameya Deborah Media, Ameya Deborah himself. And also speaking is Ajayi Oluwatayo Oluwadamilare. He's a curator, Spirit of Drums, also known as Tayo Konga. So I present to you the moderator for this discussion, Miss Della Siade.
I would like to, thank you so much, Jacinta, for lying about me. I would like to invite the panelists to join me on stage. Then we move right to it. I'm here to actually confirm if I'm an influencer or I am just known on social media. So I hope you also came here with your goals.
Good afternoon, Ghana. My name is Oluwatayo Oluwadamilare. I'm the founder of Tumbadora Entertainment. I experienced beautiful speech by His Excellency and the great politician in the house. What are you influencing? Who are you? What do you do? Can you start from where you are? How do you want to project yourself? When I came in, I was putting on my dark shade and, I was like, okay, let me see. It's all about visibility. Visibility, how do you want to project yourself to the world? What you have is what the world wants to see. So I'm here today to tell you my story, how I started my journey. I'm a percussionist, an African percussionist who grew up seeing people. I was born in the ghetto. I was born in Ajegole, somewhere in Lagos, Nigeria. And I believe your background shouldn't allow your back to remain on the ground. Anywhere you are, you just have to have the goals and push on and move on. So that is what we believe in. We are Africa, we have the black spirit in us, we have the black power in us. There's a power in you that you have. There's a potential in you. All you need to do is just to ignite what is inside of you and influence everyone around you. Everything around us influences our journey in life. I'm a drummer. How can this drummer boy stand in between this handsome man and this beautiful woman? So it's all about what you have, what you carry. I believe so much in Yemi Baba. I believe so much in this dream. The first edition was powerful. When I came in this afternoon, this morning, I saw the beautiful ambience. I said, this guy has a dream. This guy is influencing the youth, influencing the people of Accra, Ghana, influencing West Africa, influencing Africa. I want to be like Yemi Baba when I grow up like him. So thank you very much. I'm just here to just introduce myself. Thank you.
That was a very beautiful and wonderful introduction. Please introduce yourself. And then
All right, my name is Amir Debra. I am a blogger, influencer, content creator, and the journey started a number of years ago, and it's been exciting. And to be able to grow from something that I was passionate about doing in my room to now employing people and growing that brand into different spaces, I think for most of you who are starting, perhaps it's a good story to look at and be inspired by. So I'm hoping that today I'm able to share some advice and direct you. The space really, there isn't a one-way approach to making it, and that's what the internet has done for a lot of people. A lot of new jobs are being created for people, and content, now you cannot even describe it. You wake up and there are all forms of content. People are just coughing and it's content and people are consuming it. So really, I cannot say everybody must go my way, but hopefully certain challenges I went through, certain decisions I took, may help you at that point of need, and it could be the game changer. So hopefully today we're able to address some of that and more.
Yes, thank you. I have one question, just one question, and I know it's going to be a long answer, but I have known you, or I have known your name. I didn't know you, but I knew your name, and I have known your name. Should I say, I don't want you to feel old, but since I was a child. And it's amazing what you were able to do during that time, because internet wasn't really a thing. And it's been over 2 decades. You've been doing this like forever. You started this blogging thing before we even knew about blogging. Like, how did you even decide that this is what you want to do? Because internet wasn't a thing. And you are not a scientist, so you didn't know that, okay, internet is going to be like, in the next 20 years, it's going to be huge. The social media community is going to grow. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to make money from this. Or did you even think that you were going to make money from this? Did you even think you were going to make money out of this when you started?
Great, yeah. I think when I started, it was very early, but you could tell because I think I started, when I started, Facebook was not so popular then, or it wasn't even in existence, but the first form of it, which was like High Five. I don't know how many of you remember High Five. So I started that when I was in university, and when I finished and I was starting to put content out, I realized that it was connecting with people. Immediately I could see I was connecting with people from secondary school, JSS, and even way back. So in my mind, I saw the strength of it. And so even when that High Five went off and other ones were birthed, I had that sort of foresight to know that it's going somewhere. And when I started, truth be told, I mean, it was quite early, so much that brands didn't know how to engage because they were doing more with traditional media. And so I had to go through those growing pains of loving what I was doing, not being so sure what was going to turn into in the next few years. But God being faithful, I think it's not just my doing, but it's just an ecosystem that has now come to support it. There is great audience, and so people are using the various platforms. And so with us creating content on these platforms, there's that connection that now makes sense, and people see that really there's a space that we can engage people to do promotions for, etc. So it's been an interesting journey, and being consistent and not giving up. And like the previous speakers were saying, it doesn't happen overnight. There are instances where some people get the lucky break as soon as they get into it, but it's not. That's rather in the minority. So once you get into it, you must build up your mind and know that you're in for the long haul and you're doing it bit by bit and growing. And that's even better because the audience that you grow from the early stage, if you keep them and you keep growing, you can do magic with that audience. And I think that's what has worked for me over the years.
Thank you. I'll come back to you because I have a follow-up question. But I want Tayo to speak about how did you decide that, okay, this is what I'm going to do differently? Because I am in the middle of, starting something, and I have been thinking, I think it's been like a year. How did you just decide that, okay, this is what I want to do differently? This is what I want to make me stand out among all the drummers? Because really, we all go to church, we see drummers, we go to these traditional, events, we see percussionists and all that. What makes you stand out, or how did you decide that this is what's going to make me stand out?
All right, thank you. Procrastination is very serious.
Oh.
Once you want to do something, you have to believe in yourself. You are not doing it for people. You are doing it to fulfill the purpose. Who are you? What do you want to do? Who are the people you're influencing? You have to have a destination. You have to have a goal. Your focus is what people want to see. Your consistency is what will attract people. So I want to tell that speed is relevant without a direction. If you don't have a direction, you just find yourself at the wrong destination faster. So what you want to do is you have to do it. Let me use this pidgin English. No look Uche face. Do it. Do it. Nike slogan will say, just do it. What you want to do. I started playing drum at the age of 4. I studied philosophy. And when I was doing my national program, I worked on the Delta State Tourism Board. So during that period, I was under hospitality and travel trade. So I was just a drummer boy. I saw the lapses they're having in the tourism sector. I said, I'm bringing tourism entertainment into this industry. How do we make people feel very important? So if you tell me this is head office, this is EcoBank head office, so what are the things that attracts you? You see the beautiful edifice, you see the lovely structure, the good staff, the way they are treating all the staff. And one of the things you also have to look at, okay, after seeing this thing, what else? Entertainment, hospitality. Hospitality is one of the major industry, major aspect of life. Culture is a way of life, but hospitality as well is a way of life. And as we want to see that whatsoever you're doing, you have to do it with excellent spirit. I started playing drum at the age of 4. From there, university, I started leading different bands. And from there, I was so focused. I was so determined that this thing, I want to carve a niche from it. My family said, why do you want to become a drummer? Why can't you just work? I said, okay, I'm going to work. So I was working under a financial institution as a debt recovery officer. So from there, one day I woke up, I said, I think I have satisfied you guys. I want to focus on my entertainment. I registered to Mbadura Entertainment, and from there, I started building up young talent around my neighborhood, around the street. And from there, different artists started calling me. I've done projects with different artists by the grace of God. I've worked with Wizkid, Flavor, Banky W, Awilo Logomba, many of the artists. What you do with excellent spirit attracts people to you. And if you believe in yourself, I focus on conga drum. We have different percussions. Percussions has different, it is a family, talking drum set and all. But I focus on the conga drum. Why did I choose conga drum? Do you all know conga drum? I don't know. The two drum you saw it outside, displayed outside. That is one of the most useless instruments, if you want to tell me. People don't play it. People don't like it. Unlike keyboard, saxophone, drum set. If you go to any church, you find 3 drummers, 4 keyboardists, lead guitarists, and there's nobody playing conga. Why? So because I studied philosophy, I said I want to know the philosophical appraisal of this drum. So I focused on the rudiment of this drum, and from there I started pushing. By the grace of God, I got contacts from different embassies, America embassies, Brazil embassies. I've been endorsed by Brazil embassy in Nigeria as one of the top entertainers. And Spanish embassy, different embassies started consulting me for African drum workshop, because they really want to know how can we influence our own people with this thing that you carry. I said, what I carry is, you're seeing drum, but I'm seeing it as a pride of the nation, pride of Africa. So if you are doing something, you should be able to stand that this is what I want to do, and this is how I want to influence my community. I was in Lagos last 3 weeks, and somebody sent me a video that they are studying about the way I play my African drum in a particular university. That the lecturer said, go and learn about, he called out the theater art department, the performing art department, go and learn about this particular guy in Lagos, how he does the things. Last year, we converged like 100 drummers together. Yeah, bring youths together, promoting African art, culture, and tourism. You know, we have been, what Madura Entertainment has been doing, we have been taking people to different tourist attractions, entertain them with African drumming, African culture, and what we also do is to tell them about our food. We bring different expertise, different diplomats. Come enjoy Africa. We are African. We are here to make you feel comfortable. Africa is not a bad nation. Africa is not a bad continent. Africa is a continent of the people, by the people, and for the people. So if you want to enjoy Africa, you have to eat our food. You have to believe in us. We are not here to harm you. Drumming to me is a life. Drumming to me is a spirit. So we converge the spirit of drum, which has brought us here today. Thank you very much.
Well, wow. Thank you so much, Tayo. Oh, you can hold the mic for a minute. I want to. So you see, unlike a male, where everybody just stands up and it's either a blogger, or since they have internet and data, they just become a blogger or a content creator. Your industry isn't as saturated, and it's, yes, you're playing drums. How have you been able to, in as much as you've distinguished yourself that, okay, I am doing this with, you said, excellent spirit, it's attracting what you wanted to attract. How, it's not competitive, so how do you motivate yourself? Because if it's competitive, just like how a male's honest, you'll be sleeping and you'll be thinking about ideas on how to, you know, grow your brand, or how to make it better. Yeah. You understand?
Yes.
But with you, what's the motivation?
The first motivation is your environment, where you are, where I am, where I'm coming from. I grew up in Ajegunle, like I said, a ghetto. I don't know if you have any idea about ghetto. Ghetto, a dirty, stinking environment. That is my motivation. I don't want to remain on the spot. There is a motivation in me. I need to ignite it. Every moment when I wake up, I want to ignite the spirit on me, the spirit of movement. You know, until the day you stop moving forward, that is the day you die naturally. So it's not, you don't allow people to kill you. You kill yourself with your mindset. So you have to grow up. You have to think about the future, think about your people, think about your environment. There's so much we need to do. In my industry, in entertainment, you all know that it is very, very competitive, highly competitive. What can you do differently? I just decided, okay, this is what I want to do. Okay. I started adding some values, checker, tambourine. I added it to it. I added some flares of chimes bell that make noise, you know. I started adding some little things to it, and people like Nathaniel Bassi started calling, I want to see you on my project, on all my projects. Sinach, want to see you. Flavor, want to see you on your project, you know, because of the little things. You know, it takes consistency to discover that. You have to know, you have to master your craft. Master your craft. Know what you want to deliver. The world is waiting for you. There is no, let me say, there is no, when you see a superstar out there, a celebrity out there, that celebrity was born somewhere. You are also born somewhere. You can be bigger than me, you can be bigger than him, you can be bigger than she. Everybody owns this platform. It's not for 3 of us alone. We are all born to be great. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Consistency, adding value to yourself,
Exactly.
and constant practice, I think. Yeah. So my follow-up question, I've kept it in my mind. It's the fact that, social media is, everything that happens on social media is short-lived, believe it or not. They are dragging you on Twitter in the morning. By afternoon, somebody has messed up, and then you are a gone topic. Mm-hmm. The next moment, another person, and then there's somebody who can be dragged for like a whole week, and then there's somebody who can be dragged for like just a day or half a day. Your industry is, it can be like that. I can liken that to this situation, because the next moment you don't have all the hot news, or you don't have all the hot content, so they're looking for the next person. How have you been able to build this longevity? Because it's one thing to say that you need to be consistent and you need to do something different to build longevity. And it's another thing to actually do it and build longevity. Because if you want to be in something for a long time, I keep saying that if you are in the back of the line and then they move you to the front, you don't even know what is happening in the front, so you mess up. So how have you been able to follow through the process of these things and, kept your brand for over 2 decades? It's a lot.
I think it's also because of the kind of brand I created. I've created a brand that is around me, it's my lifestyle, and so even when there's no news, I can post my little boy doing something and people will engage with that. Yeah. For me, it's deliberate and it's not deliberate. It's just how I use my platforms. But in terms of, I think I said it earlier, that when you take your time and you build communities, that's what's important. Because when you build these communities and they are following you, it's like Sarkodie, Stonebwoy, etc., building these
Assassination.
So even if the song is terrible, at least there's a bare minimum that to speak to, and you're sorted. So when you build communities on various platforms, they are there. So even if on a bad news day, they are there if you put something. And also, sometimes, especially now that I have a team, I don't do so much on my own. Sometimes we post, we're not trying to be the first to post it, but we are posting because we know we have it at work that they would see. And how social media works is, it might be trending everywhere, but not everybody has seen it because of how they fizzle through content to people. So mine is, at whatever point, I have an audience that needs to see things. So I am putting it out there for them to have it. And most of the time I realized that even when we were posting, we thought we were late, but it's really engaging, people are reacting to it, and then more people are seeing it. So I think understanding the space, and each platform works differently. So if you understand how to operate within each of them, you know how to do it to your benefit. And I think even that you have to keep learning because they also keep changing algorithms, etc. And so one time you think you got to figure it out, and the next thing what you've learned is not working. So you have to learn and unlearn so many times, especially if you want to see that longevity you're talking about. But I think by and large, it's the personality, it's the brand I have created. It allows for people to tag along and grow with it. And my content has evolved. I'm now cooking. So I think it's looking at all those different things, and it helps because I think someone like Madonna is called like the mother of reinvention, and she's changed herself so many times, her sound, her look. So when you understand it and you want to go in the long haul, you understand some of these things and then you do it. So although, like you said, it's competitive, I don't see competition because for me, fortunately, I got in early. I created a network, and so far as those people see it and they are happy with it, everything else can go on. I'm in my world. Yeah.
Right. Very interesting. So I don't know if they've already spoken about this before I got in, but you know, these days everybody just stands up and they call themselves influencers. I want to ask this one question, since it's an influencers conference, and I don't believe all of us here are influencers, or maybe some of us are aspiring to be influencers. Do you just set out to decide, okay, today I'm an influencer? Or it's the things that you do, the little things that you build on is what makes people start looking up to you, and then you call yourself an influencer? Because you can't just stand up, sit in your room and be like, okay, I'm an influencer, and people will just start listening to you.
Yeah, I think it's a bit pretentious to just wake up and say I'm an influencer. I want to, because I think it first starts with having that audience, that sort of community, that your voice becomes influential to, your content is influential to, and then you build off of that. It's not like a thing that you just wake up and say you are. I don't look at it from that point. Right. But I think there must be something that allows you to have that audience. It may be your looks, it may be content you're creating, but there's something to build off of that creates that influence for you, rather than just waking up and saying that it's a little bit too much for me to consume that way. But there are levels of influence, and there are those who perhaps they are speaking to teenagers in their classroom and they speak to them. So they may not be on the level of some mega or whatever kind of influencer, but there is some level of influence, and you can do something with that level of influence. So there are tiers to it. I mean, those who are into the influencer marketing space, they categorize, they describe who fits. But personally, I believe that I have a platform and I have reach, and with that reach, I can speak to the people in that space. So that's some sort of influence. So how I use that for myself, for brands, I guess that sometimes become what we term as influencing. But yes, I don't think, I think you get it.
Right. Tayo, please, would you like to speak on this as well?
I think you want to become an influencer. I've seen so many content. I've seen so many different contents online. Think about your environment. Think about our culture before you put that thing on the internet. No, there are so many immoral content. Let me use the word. You know, for example, you're browsing through your phone on the internet and you're saying some very interesting content, and one of a sudden you're browsing with your child, with your son or with your daughter, and you're enjoying the content, and he or she is also enjoying it with you, and one of a sudden another content pops up. No, you understand? So before you put that content out there, think about what you're about to promote. Are you trying to promote immoralities? Are you trying to promote our culture? Morals. Let's bring back our value. In Nigeria, some years ago, we did bring back our girls, bring back everything. Let's bring back, let's promote, let's respect our women, let's respect ladies, let's respect them. No, they are not, we shouldn't do that stuff we're about to do. We should not put it out there. I just believe that what you are influencing is who you are. What you are putting out there is who you are. Your mindset can affect everything around you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You've answered my very last question before we take questions if there are any. So you've answered that because it's in the relation to, advising people on how to create a dynamic brand and all of that. So Amaya, if you have anything to talk about in that regard as to how influencers can build, creating a dynamic brand, and because honestly, I don't want to mention names, but there's this particular lady who, she does the same thing, and probably she sits in a room and rants about stuff, and then she decided to, go away a bit, and then it became a disaster. And then she decides to, come back to her first love, and then now it's not even working at all. People do not find her relevant anymore. So to avoid something like this, what do you advise that she do?
Well, I think for her to have disappeared, first of all, we need to understand that our environment is very, very important. It can affect you mentally. First of all, how is she doing? Who are her friends? Is she okay? Mental health is very, very important. You understand? I can look very happy. I can look tall, elegant, happy. But inside of me, I may not be looking fine. You understand? I just want to do it. I have seen so many bloggers, so many content creators that say, I started this due to depression. I'm bringing out myself out of depression to make people happy. Yeah. You can't kill depression. Depression is a sickness. You need therapists. You need to consult. You need some professionals around you. If you want to put a content, each time you think about your content, think about professionals around it. Do you understand? So I just think there is no perfect human being on earth. And for the knowledge you are seeking, the knowledge you are about to share is also people are seeking. Do you understand? So in starting up, in rebranding, in being consistent will make you stand out. So if you are doing anything, if you are releasing anything on the internet, like I said, you have to be ready. You have to get ready for the field. Don't stop, because when you stop, you lose your followers. When you stop, you lose your followers. Right. Please don't stop. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can you pass on the mic to her?
Well, I like to look at it from this point of view, especially social media in general. I want for people to see it like they are building sort of their CV. So what you're not proud of, people looking back to say, hey, this person has done this or that in their life, then you shouldn't put it out. It's an extension of, in a way, it's an extension of who we are. What we do, people believe it's you. So whatever you put out there, I mean, there are people, say politicians, even though we know perhaps they're not the real people handling those accounts, we speak to them like it's them. So the mindset people have of your account, your profile, is that really that is who you are. And so it's important that you're not just thinking about what gratifies you in the moment, but really in the long term. It's something you're proud about. 20 years, 10 years, 5 years down the line, you can defend it and you own it. So just think about it like you're building your CV. And I mean, now when you're traveling, people are, embassies and consulates are looking at, they're asking you for your social media handles so they can also have a sense of who you are on there. So it's important. It's not just for the fun of it. It's not just for building quick fame. You have to think through it for the long run.
You have to think through it. Social media is not just social media. It's, I think social media is real life as well. So yeah, you have. Do we have any questions? If I haven't asked any question that's bothering your mind, do you have it? Okay. So we'll take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, I'm sure there's a lot of questions. Right. Please write them down. They're still here. They'll answer your questions.
Right.
Thank you so much, Della.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Tayo.
This was very
Thank you so
insightful.
much,
Thank you so
Ameya.
much.
Please don't go because people have questions for you. Please put your hands together for them. I'm sure you enjoyed their session, right? And you have questions. I saw a lot of hands up. Even the first session, people didn't raise their hands up like that. You people were scared of the government. I think it was until I actually asked for questions that people were like, okay, let me ask questions. But this one, everybody, because it's Ameya, people have raised your hands. Ameya, why did you post about Shatali? Why? Okay. At this juncture, I'd like to tell all of you that you should get your pen and paper ready. We're about to move into the part where we do some psychology. Yes, we're entering into psychology class right now. Our students are adjusting pen and paper. That's nice, okay. Avoid every form of distraction. If your babe or your guy is calling you now, block him. You are about to learn something new because after this particular session, I'm telling you on authority that your life will never remain the same again. And okay. The next topic we're going to be delving into is how the psychology of influence has aided the rise of influencer marketing. And to do justice to this topic is somebody who we have carefully picked. He's a trade psychologist and light speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Clifford Chekona.
Can you hear me? Before we get started, sometimes, when you come into conferences like this, chances are excellent that you will miss what can transform your life. And, I've been enjoying, from, the time that His Excellency was speaking, and every single person, I was just sitting down here just thinking and wondering, how can myself be in the midst of people like this about to speak today as well? And when I saw the theme of today's conference, when it was sent to me, when I was invited, I saw the theme as the power of influence in our world today. Now, when I saw the theme, I was like, whoever came up with the theme was very intentional, or maybe they just coincidentally came up with a powerful theme. So I saw the power and an influence. You see, in order for something to influence you, or in order for you to influence something, or for you to influence something, you need to have power. It's never possible. You can never influence something or someone without power. Let's say, for example, let's say your father, okay, let's say your father in the household comes to you and says, hey, today we are all fasting today. You have no choice but to listen to him. Why? Because it's not from a point of, authority, but you know that he has influence in that space. You will listen to him whether you like it or not. But the same father will walk into this place and shout and say, we are fasting today. Now, the words didn't change. The coordination of the grammar didn't change. But chances are excellent that nobody will listen to him. Is that true? Why? Because power has a limit depending on who you are. So the same man came to this place and said, we are fasting today, but nobody listened to him. But he said the same thing inside his house and everybody listened to him. Now, so when I was meditating on the theme, initially I was just thinking, God, what am I going to talk about here today? So this morning, in fact, I was just meditating on the word again, and I heard in my spirit, and I heard that when you go there today, I want you to ask them this question: who is influencing you? Your life will not remain the same again. You don't believe it. When she said, you didn't believe it, because I'm sure you're looking at me from not wearing suits and that things. You're wondering, what is this guy going to say? Let me introduce myself a little bit. My name is Cliff Chekona, a typical Ghanaian. By the grace of God, I've traveled here and there, obviously. I'm a full-time trader, by the grace of God. When I say trader, I mean the financial market. since 2012, so a decade. I'm saying a decade because I came across a video that said don't ever introduce yourself again and say I've been training for, or maybe I'm working for 10 years. Say a decade, it sounds professional. So I'm doing the same. By the way, so I'm also a pharmacist, but I do full-time trading now by the grace of God, so I don't have to deal with people. I'm an introvert guy. You wouldn't believe it, but it's true. So what happened was, let's now move on to what I have for you, since you know a little bit about myself. So I was meditating on this theme, and I said, God, who is influencing you? Is a very powerful question. You see, we live in a generation where, you know, all the speakers, they did amazing. They were all talking about social media, which is very true, because that is the only way we can communicate, you know, from one stage to the other, one message to the other. But what truly is the tool of influencing is your mind. And I want you to write that down. Your mind. You see, myself, I am a product of mental transformation. Believe me, when I say that your mindset plays an important role. And I'm going to be sharing some couple of few things here, and it doesn't matter whether you believe me or not. You see, there is something called the law of gravity. I'm sure most of us over here, we are all students, obviously, or probably have gone through some institution before. The law of gravity says that if you jump from a 50th story building, you will go down. Is that true? Imagine if you don't believe me, and I tell you that if you jump from this 50th story building, you will go down, and with your ignorance, you jump. Would you still go down? So that means that the principles don't care about your feelings. It doesn't care about the fact that you have no knowledge. You see, and that is very true, because the Bible says that lack of knowledge, my people, not the people, my people shall perish. That is very important, and I'm sure all of us over here, we are believers. Most of us. How many of us? Can you tell God to give you understanding today? Because some of us may have come here today right now, you're asking yourself, why am I still in the same level I am? Why is it that I've done every single thing? Probably you have gone to conferences, but it seems that your life is still not changing. Maybe you are the reason why I'm here today. Because as I said, this guy you're looking at is a product of mental transformation, but not by opinions, principles. You see, on social media, you will find so many opinions. Opinions don't change lives. You see, when you combine sodium and chlorine together, you will get a salt. If I do the same thing in the United States, would I get a salt? Okay, if I do the same thing in Dubai, would I get a salt? So that means the environment or geographically doesn't change the fact that if you add, I'm talking about principles still. So there is a law called the law of territory. That law says that you cannot live in a territory that you have not made of the component from that territory. That is why you and I today, we cannot live on Mars. Okay? And at the end of the day, one thing you need to understand is that God created us in his own image. And again, this is for the believers. If you believe that, I believe that. I don't care if you don't believe. Again, your opinion does not matter. It's principles. So God created us in his own image, and we all know that God's image is spirit. It's not this material body. So he used the components of the earth to create us, and I'm sure you have heard this before. The skin is like the sand, you know, our bones is like stones, and your body is made up of 70% of water, just like the earth. So that is how it represents that you are truly made. That is why you can live on earth. So sometimes we watch movies, and here and then you will see that some of the movies that the aliens or demons are trying to possess your body. They understand these principles. They know that you cannot live on earth without a material body. So God made us this way so that we can survive here. However, he knew that in order for us to survive, we need something that can influence us. And that thing that can influence us for us to have power is not here on earth. Do you believe this? Again, as I said, principles. Whether you believe it or not, remember, law of gravity, it doesn't change a thing. So what happened was, he now created a CPU, let's call it that way, your mind. So your mind is the mediator between what you see here and what you don't see. The mediator is where we get the word media from. So now you understand why media is powerful, because it's targeting your mind. If the devil wants to destroy your life, he doesn't have to put a problem in your life. You just have to put it in your mind and it automatically finds expression in your life. Does that make sense now? So if you are here and you are asking yourself, why am I still in the same level and nothing seems to be changing, and you are just pointing fingers here, social media this, Instagram did that, the president didn't do this, and you look around, and I'm telling you today, it's your mind. You see, we live in a generation where the 4 people you hang out with, you are the 5th one. This thing is true. You don't need to believe it. You see, there is a story. Follow me now. There is a story in the Bible about a Roman officer in Capernaum. He met Jesus, and then Jesus said, he said, can you come to my house, and then can you heal my servant? And Jesus said, okay, I will come when I'm done with this place. And then the servant said, the Roman officer said, no, you don't have to come, Jesus. I'm not wealthy for you to come to my house. But speak the word from here, and then my servant will be healed. And the Bible says Jesus was marveled. He now turned and looked at the centurion and said, how did you know? He said, I am a man under authority. I tell one that go, and he goes. I tell one comes, and he comes. And Jesus was marveled. You see, influence is as a result of experience, the things you know, the things you have become that give you the confidence. So when I was coming here, and then I heard in my spirit, ask them, who is influencing you? What is influencing you? Things are influencing people in this generation, and it's their opinions. They don't transform a life. Years ago, I was broke. I told you guys this. If you know about trading, I said I've been trading since 2012. If I didn't quit, it's by the grace of God, because it's hard. Some of you guys, if you are trading, I'm sure I've blown accounts several times. It's hard, isn't it? Now, at the end of the day, one of the things I will tell you is, if you listen to this right now, there are so many opinions everywhere. You know, I believe this, I feel that, I don't feel this, I don't feel this. Everybody is just expressing opinions. But the question is, where is the truth? Because if something is true around you, the testimony is freedom. It's in your Bible. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. So at the end of the day, the 4 people you hang out with, you become the 5th one. And so on and so all these principles, we have heard it. If you understand what I'm telling you today, this segment will not let me do justice to the conversation I want to have with you guys today. But if you don't get anything today from this segment, I want you to understand something, that principles is what changes life. God did it that way so that life will be fair. He did it that way so that life will be fair. You see, one of the things that I was coming here today, and I've seen a lot, people just complain too much. And the reason why I think they complain is because they don't understand the implications of complaining. You see, complaining, let me tell you a quick story. When I was young, I grew up in a Ghana home. I grew up with my grandmother. And I would never get the fried rice. Never, unless I'm sick. Well, I don't know about you. But when I'm not feeling well, Junior, are you okay? Do you want some tea? Do you want some fried rice and chicken? And I was like, yeah. So when I was growing up, this became what influenced me. And so anytime I needed something, I wanted to play the guilty card, which is, I'm not feeling well, life is so hard, I don't know what to do, crying, thinking somebody will look at you. So this same thing happens to you when you see an opportunity with a businessman. Instead of you telling him your plans and your strategy, you now tell him how hungry you are. You see, and if that thing has influenced you in a way, it's hard for you to break it. I understand, believe me. And right now you will find somebody. Right now it's very difficult for you to tell somebody in this country that you are okay, because then if you're okay, then that means they need to come to you to ask you for help. So everybody is competing about who is the broke one in the room. So, man, I've not eaten. Oh, yours is good. 2 days ago, I've not even eaten. So we are all competing, but you win. But on a more serious note, guys, what is influencing you? Is it opinions or principles? Because something is influencing you. And do you know how you will know what is influencing you? Look around you. If you are not where you are, chase after principles. You see, at the end of the day, when they came to the mountain and then everything was all said and done, they were very hungry. And so what happened was, Jesus now asked one of his disciples and said, what are we going to do? He said, well, we have 5 denarii and the other one. Jesus didn't even answer. And then he went to the other one and he said, what are we going to do? He said, we have only 2 fishes, 5 loaves of bread, and so on. And Jesus did something. You know what he did? Who knows what he did? He gave thanks. It's a principle. It's called the principle of multiplication. I did it. Did I tell you guys a story before I wrap up? So years ago when I was in Europe, very broke, super broke, like 2013 thereabout, super broke. And then I went for this conference. It was a woman, of God preaching, and I grew up as a Jehovah's Witness. So I was fighting against, denominations, and even if I see people celebrating birthday, I was angry. So when I went to this conference, something said, pay attention and listen. And after the woman finished, she said something positive. He said, listen, Thanksgiving is the only thing that when you engage in, God himself comes down to receive it. So thank God for what you don't have yet, and you will have it. I said, no way. Okay, so when I came home, I wrote on every single thing I didn't have yet. I said, Chikona Cafe. I'm going to be one of the best educators in the world. I'll be a trader. I wrote every single thing down. And guess what happens? I was still broke. Nothing changed. However, that practice led to something. It started making me reading books. Because at that time, I didn't even know something was wrong somewhere. Somebody can gift me $200. Guess what happens? I will hit my head on the wall, and I'll take the money to the hospital. And then all the money comes back to the level I am. Which is what? Your financial thermostat. You can never make any amount of money beyond your mindset. Never. So what is influencing you? So what happened was, I was now having one time, I was just having $12. We wanted to eat it for me and my brother also. And then all I had, and I said to them, I'm going to engage in what the woman said. I started praying and said, thank you, Father. And I was like, do you see the rice and the stew and the chicken? But I didn't see it yet. I was just thanking, because that's what the woman said. I said, today, I've been in my same space and my life is not changing. So I might as well just do this. I have nothing to lose anyways. I'm still broke. So I kept on thanking God. Believe you me, long story short, when I went to the ATM to check to see if there is something in the card for me to use, it has shifted from $12 to 103 euros. You will not understand the testimony is mine. Don't worry about that. I want you to believe this, that if your life is not where you want it to be, just carry one principle and go try it. It can be given. Knowledge is powerful. You see, you are where you are because of what you know. You are where you are because of what you know. You see, one of the things that I want you guys to understand is today, when I was coming, I said, there are a few principles that I want to share with you guys for you guys to understand this. You see, what you believe has to be the foundation of what influences you. I'm a big believer. It wasn't like that back in the days, believe me. I didn't believe in prayer. I didn't believe in the word. And sometimes when you come on stages like this, the world is expecting you to not talk about God. God forbid. Because if I come and stand on this stage and I tell you that I've done this myself, I'll be lying. I can't go back and go down on my knees and say, Father, you did it. I know where I'm coming from. So I'm telling you guys, my secret is what I'm sharing. So whenever you have only just 100 cedis remaining and you are hungry, you raise it up and say, Father, this is all that I have. But I know whom I have believed and I'm persuaded. So while you are still saying that you pick up your thinking big, reach that port and you're still reading it, don't read it with anger. Read it knowing that few days to come and few times to come, your life could change. You see, at the end of the day, when I was coming here again, I was very super nervous a little bit because, as I said, dealing with people, like, it's not easy, because right now everybody's angry. So I was like, when I stand on this stage, how many of them know me, and it's like, when I speak, would they, and the Holy Spirit said, don't worry. It's not about you. Just ask them the question, who is influencing you? And as they go back, at least one of them will sit down. Some of you guys have to go on a retreat to go find out what is influencing you. And with precision, you will flog it out. Because I don't know about you, but I was tired. I hope you are tired. I don't know about you, but you must be angry and tired. You say, you must tell yourself that something must change. And it won't change because of feelings. It won't change because you are angry. It won't change because you think you are tired. Remember, principles don't care. It was the same thing the sons of Sceva did. They met the demons and they said they are going to rebuke them by Jesus. But the demons looked at them and said, are you normal? Jesus, I know. Paul, I know. Who are you? Because principles does not care about your feelings. The same Jesus, the same name that they tell you to use to cast demons, they use it. It didn't work. That means if you have not become, forget it. There is a saying that if you want to make $1 million, you have to become a millionaire first. In here, then the money finds expression in you. So you are here, you want to be a writer, you want to be a content producer, you want to be a, you want to be a trader, you want to be whatever, it starts from here first. If you and I know that you have not really engaged in knowledge, I'm going to give you guys some 5 things. I'm not going to explain it, to be honest. And then you guys will write it down. And as you go, I believe and I pray that the Holy Spirit will direct you. Whatever you believe in, I hope, will direct you and you can be able to understand. I have just these few things. I said, what gives you power? I'm about to wrap up now. Remember our beginning of the theme explanation? That's influence comes with power. That means the father who was in the house, who said, let's fast today, couldn't command this place. But let's say his ministry is to make thousands and thousands of people fast. He doesn't have to complain and say, people are not listening to me, they don't want to support. I used to talk like that because I create content a lot. I remember a few years ago, I'll put a content in and say, this is going to be the viral one. Go on Instagram and it's just 2 views. And you are wondering if you should quit. Today I look at one of my views and 41K and all of that. I said, wow. And it taught me a big lesson that it doesn't matter if people will support you, create a powerful content, they will share without knowing it. But anyways, I have 3 things, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. Number 1 is knowledge. These are the few things that give power. Knowledge, number 1. Number 2, hunger. You see hunger, it gives power. And if you're not careful, when you're no more hungry, that power can go away. I remember back in the days when I'm hungry, I'm not laughing, but when I see food, I'm singing. If that is your attitude, just like me. Number 3, relationship. Relationship gives power. Relationship is the reason why I'm here. The kind of people that I know now and places that I go is just relationship. Who am I? Number 4, experience. They say experience is the best teacher. I always tell the people when I'm teaching people in the market, I mentor a lot of people. I've had a privilege to mentor more than 10,000 people in this industry. Somebody asked me, I said, Cliff, how come you don't go, you are not famous on Instagram? Anyways, experience. You see, I always tell them that if I teach you, you will forget. But if experience teach you, you will never forget. The last one is your beliefs. You see, this part, I placed it down because I wanted to weigh all the things above it. You see, the things you believe in is very important because there is a saying that these signs shall follow those who believe. That means if I want to know what you believe, I need to look at what is following you. They are your beliefs. If I tell you right now that you are going to become a multi-million-dollar earner, you will say amen. You don't believe. No, you don't believe. Because I told you guys this in the beginning that principles changes everything. God has made us understand that what you believe will follow you. I've shared a couple of few principles with you. Take it. I said number 1, thanksgiving. Number 2, knowledge. Number 3 is believe. What do you believe? So when you wake up in the morning, you are not just waking up angry. And remember, I'm not going to talk about social media because that is not my place to say. People sometimes say, I went on social media and I saw this thing and I don't like it and people were naked. Did you know that you can edit your time frame? Like you can literally just choose not interested. So that means you can choose the things you want to see. So are you sure you don't want to see it? Or you just want to find a way to look at it and find a way to sleep at night? You know what I mean? Like sometimes you see that girl, that guy with that 6%, the girl with a beautiful body and like, oh my God, why did she do that? But you can just say not interested. You are. I'm saying this for you guys to understand. Listen, I get it. Social media gives a lot of anxiety. People are looking at they have fake lives. Forget about that. That is not your job to analyze that. Don't waste your time looking at what the negative things people said. Because right now, the world that we are living in, you don't have time. Believe me. Things are changing so fast. As one of the speakers said it. So while you leave this place, I don't know where you are right now. I don't know how tired you are in your life, but enough is enough. You need to go ask yourself what is influencing you. Because if you are truly tired of being in the level that you are in, you need to change what is influencing you. The things that you entertains you trains you. So you are being trained by what is entertaining you. So while you are sitting down spending 15 hours a day watching a movie and you want to become somebody can listen to 15 hours a day, you are joking. What are the books that you are reading? No, enough is enough, because we need to stand up as a generation, the youth. I get it, the whole presidential stuff is all great, and we wish they would do something about it, but will they? And are you going to wait for them to do something about it? So what you need to do is to just say enough is enough. What are the things I don't know? How many books have you read? People sometimes say, oh, I've read this book. Did you? Because there is a difference between reading and digesting a book. Read it again. Is it your Bible? Pick it up and read it again, whatever you believe, because there are principles in there. Because every time you pick up the Bible, you will see three things: prophecies, principles, promises. They are all for you. And when you find the principles, it changes your life. It makes life fair. So while you are sitting down here, I'm asking you one more question, one more time. What is influencing you? Enough is enough. The 4 friends that are making you the 5th one, stay away. No more emotions. Oh my God, look at him, he changed. Yeah, I know. You didn't. Guys, I'm saying this, forget about me. You know, when you're looking at somebody like this, you'll be thinking, oh, forget about me for a second. It's not about me. Because when I was coming here, I was like, oh my God, what am I going to say? Will they like me? The Holy Spirit says, it's not about you. Ask them this question for me. What is influencing you? So at the end of the day, guys, the power of influence in our world today is the theme that I saw in the beginning. Believe you me, I don't know, Mr. Emmy and the team, I hope you guys are not, angry with me, because when you look at the thing I need to talk about, it talks about something influence and marketing. I wanted to talk about that, but that is not the instruction I got. But I know where my influence is coming from. I cannot disobey him. He said, ask them this question. This is all that matters, because somebody needs that to survive today. Somebody, you are here right now, you're thinking about giving up, don't. Because if you change what is influencing you, you've changed your life. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Cliff Chikona. Thank you so much for being here. I pray that may God touch your heart today. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Wow. I want to believe that the greatest influencer of all time is the Holy Spirit, because he got a standing ovation. You people didn't stand for the government. Why people like that? Don't you love the government? And Ghanaians are very religious people. Like, I saw you guys nodding when he was speaking. Like, at a point I was like, he is veering from the topic. What's going on? As he can't talk, I said, now Holy Spirit, I give up. Because nobody me go argue with Holy Spirit. Thank you so much, Mr. Chikona, for that very insightful topic, that very insightful speech. Thank you very much. We really do appreciate you. I really hope that you're putting your questions together, because after this next speaker, we'll be having another round of questions. Also, Nespresso has a gift for somebody here today. There's something special from Nespresso. So if you like, go. That one, no be Holy Spirit inspire you. I've told you. So moving on, I'd like to invite our next speaker. I'm very interested in this topic because I find myself in the arts, and this has to do with tourism. This is a topic that says how influencers can use tourism as a tool in the development of Africa. Please welcome Mr. Jibola Olusheye, who is the founder of Taste of Africa Vibes, all the way from Nigeria. Mr. Olusheye, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to be among you, and I found it as a privilege also to listen to amazing speakers. In fact, I'm inspired, I'm encouraged, and I get more reason to continue to be in cycle of influencer like you. So once again, you can also congratulate yourself for being an influencer in your own space. Congratulations to you. It's one thing to influence, it's another thing to influence yourself. to influence people and to influence yourself. When you influence yourself, you'll be able to pick one or two things that you want to use to contribute to the world. For me, I am honored to be here today to talk about tourism, how influencers can have an impact in the tourism space today. You will agree with me that tourism is life, right? When you move from one place to another, you traveled. And what have you done? You've carried out an act of tourism. You leave your home, you go to a restaurant, you go on sightseeing. Tourism is everywhere. And it's now currently the biggest industry in the whole world when it comes to GDP. Are you not amazed with that? We're not even talking about the crude oil or maybe the telecom. No, it's tourism. So every country that have gotten it right with tourism, in sight of God and even humans, they are the richest. So for we influencers, we have this opportunity today to use our social media network to influence. Many of us are followers, millions, people who are looking up to us. We have become opinion leaders. We are the one driving the force of humans' ideas. We are the ones looking at the rooms the world are looking up to like, what next? Now imagine you now influencing something that has to do with life, tourism. Should we take that serious? Yes. Because we think of every other thing possible when we are alive. And that is why we want to give a key attention to this part. The tourism industry in Africa is a very big market. We're talking of culture, we're talking of tradition, we're talking of history, we're talking of entertainment. I believe here in Ghana you have your own festival, right? A lot of them. And I think very soon a lot will be coming up. When you come to Nigeria, we have a festival, we have culture, we have diversity in the tradition, which make people to want to move from one place to another to see what there has to do. So you being an influencer and you are having a contribution to the tourism space, it's a very interesting thing. So we want to encourage influencers to continue to see to the need of the tourism space. You don't want to leave it alone to the travel agencies, to the airlines, to the hoteliers. No. It is our responsibility to help the world to see what African has or has to offer when it comes to tourism. On your social media space, just imagine you as an influencer happen to go to a resort or maybe a restaurant. After finishing eating, you ate your food, you enjoyed it, and you drop a review, pictures and everything, and then what have you done? You've preached the gospel of that place, of that specific restaurant, to your entire followers, to the world at large. And that is why we need the input of the influencers to look into this area. It's not only that, you may now want to start to wonder, does it really worth it? Does it make sense? Because while we are calling ourselves influencers, we are talking about the tourism space, we talk about the benefit also. Yes, like I mentioned earlier, the biggest industry in the whole world is the tourism space, which generated a lot of about 5.5 billion GDP last year, which keep growing over time. So as influencers, we want to be intentional. Sometimes we always wonder, big is not always better. How do I mean? We want to think of, until I go and promote a very big restaurant, a 5-star hotel, a 5-star restaurant. No. Do you think of the woman on the street? Maybe doing what we call in Nigeria, pop-off. Do you have it here in Ghana? I want to believe so. Do you think of how you can use your own space to promote that young guy in the local area who is thinking of doing something, probably is into art and craft, something unique? Can you use your story and your influencer space to promote such a person? This is our responsibility. This is my responsibility. That is your responsibility. We all want to come together to contribute to the tourism in Africa. And how can we do that? We want to discover unique potentials, unique ideas, people who are doing extraordinary things. Look around us. Like I mentioned some restaurants, I mentioned some tourist attraction. Gone are the days you want to travel, you have to go to the travel agent's office. These days, how many of you, some of you have traveled out here and all you did everything from where? Online. right? Maybe on getting to your destination, you're meeting your host who is to take you around. So you can now see that many people, the new media now is the social media, and that is why we are called influencers. Because where is our office? Social media. Every one of us here, probably we are all active on all the social, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram. So we want to bring all tourism products, all tourism ideas. We want to bring it into our space. We want to influence it, knowing that people are there looking out. They want to see what we have. The nature wonders. Africa is home to some of the world's most awe-inspiring landscapes, including the Serengeti in the East Africa, Victoria Falls, the Sahara Desert, and many other places that are very interesting that the world wants to see. Do you all believe that despite the GDP in the tourism space, Africa is really lacking behind? Do you agree to that? Because what comes to the mind of people who are looking at Africa? War, disease, right? When you look at some movies, Hotel Rwanda, sometimes in April, what does those movies promote? War. And they went home with billions of dollars, right? Can we all change the narrative altogether as influencers? Using our cameras, using our story, becoming intentional with content creating, with storytelling. Tell this beautiful story about Africa. If we don't tell our story, who's going to tell our story for us? No one. If we continue to push the negative, fine, they are happening. We are not disputing that. We are not saying these things don't happen. Do you want to tell me the United States of America is 100% safe? Today someone pick up a gun and shot down someone. But if we all are given the opportunity, okay, let's just go to America in a vacation. Are we going to say no? It's because what they are doing, what? Pushing out. So what are we pushing out for our country? As a Ghanaian, as a Nigerian, what are you pushing out? Leave the bad story to the media. The bad story already have enough carrier. CNN, BBC, and the likes, they pick as many as they want. For you and I, which side are we going to stay? The bad side or the good side? We want to be intentional with the good stories of Africa. And like many of the speakers have mentioned, be honest when it comes to the information you're giving out. If you go to a place, probably a tourist attraction, get good information and put it there in your own space. Encourage these ones who are striving to do one or two things about tourism in Africa. If we do that, I can assure you, we all are contributing. Sometimes it's not always about the money. It's not about the money. You don't expect, oh, that big hotel needs to give me money to push them. Fine, probably those who have arrived, the so-called five-star brands. But when, like I mentioned, those ones who are just coming up, we need to push them, we need to encourage them. If we do that, we are supporting or influencing the tourism space here in Africa. We want to leverage on influencers to develop African tourism. Influencers have the power to tell compelling story that goes to their audience. African tourism boards and businesses can tap into storytellers. Some months ago in Nigeria, we had the first African Travel Content Creator Conference, which has to do with gathering of content creators so that they can come together, collaborate, teamwork. You see, one beautiful thing about collaboration is it helps to bring ideas together. It's like a room whereby you bring about various colors. Let's assume everyone here in this hall now we're putting on black or white. How do you think the hall is going to look like? Boring, right? So can you see collaboration as combination of beautiful colors? Blue, yellow. I mean, it's going to make the whole thing look beautiful. So don't see the people in the space you have as a challenge. People want to bring it down. No, come together. At the top, it's called collaboration. At the bottom, it's called what? Competition. So where are you going to stay? At the top, right? So use your influence to push the African tourism space in a way that you can collaborate with fellow influencers. Yes, you may be wondering, I'm just an influencer. I don't belong to the tourism space. But like I said, tourism is life. Every day we practice an act of tourism. We travel all the way from Nigeria down to this place. Some of us, probably you're staying in one part of Ghana to come to this place. We've done one or two tourism for today. So Probably when you're coming on the road, you saw the beautiful environment, you bring out your phone, your camera, and then you start taking the pictures, recording the videos, you bring it to the social media, you do your editing, attach a very nice music to it, and then before you know it, you start trending. So, oh, where's this place? Where's this place? It's lovely, it's amazing. We want to be what? Intentional. And how can we do that? Find a niche. Even though if you're not in the tourism space, find a niche. It could be food, it could be fashion, it could be music, it could be people, it could be language. Find a niche and let the world see. Remember, we are talking of the African tourism, which is really lacking behind. I can assure you the world is lacking. And the beautiful thing of when you find your niche is there are enough audience on the social media space. I would just like to say a little story. During the lockdown, I started my community, that's Taste of African Vibes, with just 10 people. And what brought about the ideas? I was like, okay, now we can't travel. Does that mean we are not going to travel? No. Let's go to this digital space. On social media, we started Taste of African Vibes, whereby we started calling on people, okay, you've been to so place in Africa. Come on, bring your story. Let's hear from you. Let's see your fine picture. And people start sharing it. From 10 members today, we're over 53,000 members from all over the world. And as of last year, this same community won the Facebook Accelerator Program 2022-2023. So and it starts from where? Attaching to your niche, finding your niche, telling your story. I'm telling you, good story brings good money. Good story brings what? Good money. Tell the good story about Africa in its fashion, the food, the music. I'm telling you, over time, someone somewhere will reach out to you. It's like you're planting a coconut tree. When you plant it in 2023, maybe in the next 4 years, you start reaping it. So it's called for being patient and then being intentional and being consistent in whatever you're doing. So for tourism, we need people like that. We need influencers like you to be consistent in promoting tourism space. Never go a day, never go a week, never go a month without talking about tourism. From your fashion, the way you dress, the language, probably you go to a place, you listen to a unique language, bring it on the record, bring it on the social media space. Infrastructure development, which we also want to use to fully enhance the potentials of influencers. African nation, well, that has to do with those who are at the top, the government. They need to do more because we are ready to use our cameras, our pen to write the story. But then, because we want to be intentional, we want to be honest, I'm not going to go to a restaurant whereby the food is not sweet and you expect me to give you a review on the social media. Am I going to do that? No, that is going to affect my credibility. So we want to be honest, we want to be intentional. So we are calling on the government officials all across Africa to please continue to put in good infrastructure whereby people can really have and enjoy their time when they visit Africa. Apart from that, collaborating with influencers have to collaborate with travel agents, airlines, and the likes. Oftentimes we see in the music space, you see when a brand is to unveil, they go and call the musicians and call them out, oh, come and promote this for us. Are we going to have a time whereby people in the tourism space will be called upon to promote one or two things? I think that time depends on how you and I are making tourism to be important in Africa by what we post out there on social media. If you go to a place, like I mentioned, push it out. Let the world see what Africa has to offer. So we want to continue to put in all these things and continue to tell the beautiful story. We want to continue to collaborate to pick the grassroots. Let's go to the grassroots, those who are just coming up. Places, museums, hotels, restaurants, resorts, parks that are just coming up. If I'm coming to Ghana and you're an influencer, before going to a website, before going to any website, typing a website to think of what to do in Ghana, I'll first go to the social media space. Am I right? Yes, I'll go to Facebook or Instagram and type things to do in Ghana. Then I'll start seeing places. And then you can now ask yourself, how well have I done? What is my contribution to what I'm getting as a Ghanaian? Am I using the hashtags? So we want to reach out. We want to continue to do this. We want to make sure that the big influencers in the industry, which I believe every one of us here have, we want to use our space to promote the African tourism. Like I said, no one is going to tell our story for us. And it is now, because this is the generation we've been waiting for. That's tomorrow. 90% of the population in Africa are what? Youth. So and on social media, on the Facebook algorithm, it shows that 60% of Africans are youths that are active on social media. Promoting what? So the question, who is going to answer that? You and I. So what are you using your phone to do? Tell the beautiful story about Africa. We have beautiful cultures. Our culture, foods, entertainment, so amazing. We need to tell our story ourselves. While we will continue to hope that things get better for the African tourism in terms of government officials being intentional and continue to put in adequate infrastructures, and the citizens continue to have an easy way to travel across Africa. We really hope that. But until then, let us continue to do our best. Influencers matters. Influencers are the real deal for the marketing space of anything you are promoting. So for we in the tourism space, we are appealing to all influencers. It is a call on us. When you see politicians, when you see people trying to push their brand or whatever, you see the extent they're going, right? So how much more we should be doing? You see somebody, some of us here may not have met a specific musician, but you always say, it's my fans. I'm his fans. I'm following this person. The same spirit we want to take into the tourism space. The tourism space is really lacking behind, and I can tell you that, particularly African tourism. So let us continue to push. There's no much talking in tourism. The real language in tourism is practical aspect. We can stay here from today to tomorrow, talk about tourism. But if we don't act, nothing will happen. So one of the best ways to show that we are really intentional and ready to take the tourism space of African tourism to the next level is what we bring to the social space when we have our material, our cameras, our message. We want to bring them to the social media space and continue to do what? To tell the beautiful story about Africa. Reach out, tag all these travel agencies, airlines, and the like. Let them know you can push this for them. Even if they don't give you attention, over time, it will happen. And presently, the Meta, that is Facebook itself, they are really looking forward for people with good ideas. And I can tell you, tourism is one of the key areas Facebook is really looking to. I'm also a Facebook community manager, and I can assure you, they are not, apart from other aspect that has to do with music, entertainment, the tourism space is really lacking. They are really looking for people, influencers who can push tourism, particularly in Africa. So anything you're picking, just create a niche. You may want to start to do the food tourism, going from one place to another, talking about food. Create a community of people who have the like mind like you about food. It could be dressing, it could be language. We have the like of people who, here in Ghana, who I can call my icon, Wondemaya. We all know what he's doing, right? I mean, it's somebody I really adore a lot. Going about changing the narrative about Africa, that's what we call an influencer. We have the like of Tayo Aina in Nigeria also. So these ones have really set the pedigree for us, whereby we all as influencers can leverage on to see how we can build the tourism space in Africa. Over time, now Wondemaya is being invited by the government officials of each country all across Africa. I think of recent is in Angola also. It didn't start today. It's been building. The same thing as influencers, we want to be intentional. Start local, but think global. It really helps. And that is exactly how we want to take the spirit of African tourism to the next level. So in conclusion, influencers have the power to transform African tourism by showcasing its culture, its nature wonders, and its amazing, endless passion that it offers to the world. So I want to encourage every one of us to continue to use our influence to promote the African tourism to the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's always good to have a speech from people with presidential height, you know. And I mean, it's usually when a man of this height stands to talk to us, we have fellow Ghanaians. So today we're actually being inspired. And I hope you've learned a lot. He said, start local, but think international. That was what I took after everything. Start local, but, you know, think global. Great. I know you have questions. Keep them. We're getting to that part. Let me acknowledge our partners once again. This is saying thank you to these brands for making sure that the 2023 Influencers Conference is a success. Thank you, EcoBank Ghana, Cricover, Tackle Hubs, Authors Global, Bash Media Network, Don P Winery, Elevate, Ego Tickets, Berry Balm, Dovam, Seligali Foundation, African Woman Reinvented, and Kiki Sports. I hope Kiki Sports is here with food because, it's okay. All right, I know your questions are there, but before we move into the questions and the answers, I'd like for us to have this brief presentation by some of our partners, Cricover and Don P Winery. Very brief presentation. Hey, bah.
We are about to explore the Cricover Winery. It was founded in the 50s and it's located about 15 kilometers outside of the capital of Chisinau. The winery was founded on top of a limestone mine and the cellar is actually inside where the mine was. It's about 120 kilometers in length. Now let's go in there and let's try some of their fantastic wines. Follow me. Cricover Winery is the second largest winery in Moldova, second only to Meles Amici, which also happens to have the largest wine cellar in the world. One of the most exciting things about visiting Cricover is that you get to ride through the tunnels and see where the wines are stored until maturity. The tunnels themselves date back to the 15th century, when the property was used as a limestone quarry to build Chisinau and the surrounding towns. After World War II, the network of tunnels provided the perfect climate to age Cricover's wines. Every passageway gets its name from the wine that is stored there.
Now we are in sparkling wine section. Cricover every year produces 10 million bottles, 65% it is sparkling wine and 35% it is still wine. Every 2-3 months our women do this process remuage, so the bottles are given a slight shake and turn, and one woman in a workday can around 30-40,000 bottles, and all it is done by hand. It is a manual labor, and every year Cricover produces 10 million bottles. We have Rosé wine, it is produced from Cabernet Sauvignon. We have white brut, it is produced from Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, and Cricover, it is a unique enterprise in Moldova which produces a red brut and a red sweet sparkling wine from Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot.
Cricover is one of the few wineries in the world that produces sparkling wine in accordance with the classical French method of mixing only the best grapes from different vineyards, a practice started centuries ago by the monk Dom Pierre Perignon. Next up is the grand cellar of Cricover.
We are in the golden collection of Cricover Winery. All bottles are preserved in horizontal position in sections named Casa. You can see here some private collections which belong to world-famous personalities such as the President of Russia, Vladimir Putin, and Chancellor of Germany, Angela Merkel.
And now we're off to the best part of the tour, the tasting room, to finally try some of Cricover's famous sparkling wines. Visiting Cricover Winery is an unforgettable experience when in Moldova. It is located just 9 miles north of Chisinau and is open year-round. To book a tour, email cricover.vin@gmail.com. If you enjoy wines as much as I do, you will love visiting Cricover Winery's extensive underground cellars and tasting its delicious sparkling wines.
Okay. Where is Don P Winery? Or I should continue? We are done. So how are you Krikova and Don P at the same time? Is it the wine that is the wine or the Don P is the wine? It's a winery. Thank you. Do you work with them? Okay, because I like wine, so I wanted to befriend you, you know now, so that delivery. All right, thank you so much. I'm sure we've had a swell day. I'd like to invite Ameyao, Tayo, and Mr. Olusheye here so that they can take your questions and answer them. As you can see, there are two beautiful African drums set in front of you. We'll be having an awesome performance from a very special and talented artist. So please, Ameyao, Tayo, and Olusheye, kindly come. Your questions, get them ready. Please put your hands together for them as they make their way. Microphone is okay. We'll take your questions briefly, because I know some people are hungry by now. They're like, yes, we are getting influenced by what's all this. Okay, so, okay.
My question is to Ameyao. I want to know, all we are talking about is influence, and it's all on social media. What about those outside social media? How do we influence them? Secondly, who is a celebrity and who is an influencer? Because everyone on TV is a celebrity. He's influencing someone, whether the person is doing good or bad. Please, I'll be very happy if you can expatiate.
Violence.
Thank you.
Okay.
My question is to Ameyao. Ameyao, how do you deal with cyberbullying? Initially, like when people come after you under your post, you don't see anything. But recently, I see you saying like you are idiots too. So I'm always thinking like, how do you deal with cyberbullying and trying to curb inflammatory remarks? Yeah.
Okay. Any more questions?
Please, this one to Mr. Jiboyi. I want to know from him, when he was doing his presentation, all he was saying was tourism. Influencers to be focusing on tourism. But I feel like tourism is taking over the space. We hardly see influencers talking about politics, talking about things that affect us economically. Everything they are talking about is fashion, food, clothing, movies, music. So I feel like the entertainment space by the influencers have taken so much, because if anyone wants to be known, seen, or heard, it has to do through all these things, music, entertainment. But hardly do we see influencers talking about economic activities and political issues. Let me put it that way. Thank you.
Okay. We have hands up in this section, so.
Okay, good afternoon. I have two questions, and basically these questions are tailored to Mr. Ameyao. So first and foremost, how can a content creator or an influencer consistently create engaging content? And then the second question is, how can influencers collaborate and still remain authentic to their brand? Thanks very much.
Okay. Mr. Ameyao, wear a strong cap today.
Okay. Please, I'm Abigail. Please, my question goes to Mr. Ameyao. Please, I want to ask him what motivates him to do what he does.
Yeah, good evening. My name is Courage Gali. Actually, I came here to learn, to relearn and unlearn. It's like we are talking about the influencers. So as a business person, I'm struggling to find a person to influence my business for me. So I just wanted to know, what should I look before I get that kind of person? I have a delivery service. Yes, so I wanted someone to pay someone to do an ad for me or to influence my business for me. So I just wanted to know what I should look out for. Thank you.
Okay.
So my name is Adam.
I just want to stress the point my sister made.
You mean the violence
Yes,
headquarters?
it is about time that influencers take interest in economic, political issues, because if we stay just in the entertainment, then we shouldn't have cause to blame leadership. We need to take interest, because I, for instance, I'm a civic advocate. I work in the oil and gas sector. Every 2 weeks, we tell you where the direction of fuel prices would go and all that. But if influencers were taking interest and are able to push the information further, then it informs the oil market that people are interested in what you do. And so the decisions or the actions they take, because currently there's a global activity on cutting down crude oil supply to push up prices. And when that happens, what is going to happen is the fuel you buy, the price will go up. But because nobody talks about it, we just leave it to the experts to discuss. You would know, and before you know, you blame your government, but the government can do very little. So it's about time influencers take interest in politics, economics, governance, everything. Like I was asking about Niger, most of us don't even know. We just know that ECOWAS is mobilizing to go to Niger. What started it? How did it start? We don't know. So please.
Okay, we can only take but a few more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, wow. Okay. All right, we'll try to contain it.
All right, so good afternoon once again. My name is Fada Bakar. My question is directly to Mr. Ameyaw. I think everyone has been speaking English in here to ask questions, but I think I have 2 questions. I'll start with 3 before I come back to English. So my question is, Mr. Ameyaw, my tree is not good. My people, I say, like, more interest, say, omutio at all times. So it's a question that if you say, more deprived areas now, messages ain't mean draw. How do you intend, say, you extend your content to get to them? And secondly, my question is, for me being an upcoming influencer, I'm a student myself. How do you intend to help us who are becoming an upcoming influencers to get up there, as we have been looking up to you guys, with you, Coach Sheldon, and with Maya, others like that? Because I think there's a favorite quote of mine. I think I always state that in order for you to be number 1, you will always have to be number 2. So you are number 1, and we are number 2 following your lead. Thank you very much.
All right. There's so many questions, but I think before we move on, the last person who asked the question, the Niger guy, you said something about influencers getting involved with what's going on. And I think from my point of view, as an entertainer or somebody who can say, come here, and people would want to come, I think we as a people also need to understand that entertainers have a voice. I think the general public have an attitude of, when someone even speaks on government, it's the same Ghanaians that will come and tell you, face your acting and leave politics alone. Face your music. Hey, you won't face your comedy. You are coming to talk about politicians. So I think on that note, sometimes you don't blame the creatives when they decide to stay away from some of these things, because we've seen situations where creative people even endorsing a political party is like, you want to kill your career. So, I think sometimes people to take it easy on creative people when it comes to do with politics, because some issues are very, very sensitive. I feel like sometimes it's not like they don't want to contribute, but it's the same Ghanaians that will come after them. I'm sure Mayor Deborah will elaborate more on that. How many more questions do we have? Wow. Okay, we'll try. Let's try. Please try and put it together. You two, you're a partner. You want to ask us questions? Okay, that's fine. No, that's okay. We'll try. Please, let's make it snappy. You also have a question?
So my
Okay.
question was going to be based on how far you can go with being dynamic with your brand. That wouldn't affect it, just as they talked about. You have to talk about politics, you have to talk about economics as well. But we also talked about the fact that someone tried to change something a little and lost following. People were not following the person anymore. So how do you merge all of that to make sure that your brand still stands? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Doris Enemel, and my question is directed to any one of you. I would want to know if you've already messed up on social media and you would want to rebrand yourself. How do you go about it? Yes, so if you can educate us on that, thank you.
I hope you've not messed up on social
Not
media.
at all. I'm just asking for anyone at all, yeah.
All right.
Because I feel we've been talking about branding, we've been talking about a lot of things, but what if we need to talk about solutions as well?
Okay,
Because,
great.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tare. I'm not an influencer myself, but I work with influencers and across Africa, to be precise. And the problem I usually get is the rate card, in the sense that you want to work with an influencer, but they do not have like a standard rate card. So abroad, when we want to work with influencers, we have like a standard rate card, depending on your metrics and your engagement and all of that. So I don't know who is going to work on that. If we do have a standard rate card, this is also going to help the micro influencers, the nano influencers, at least get what they are worth for their content. So I just wanted to throw this out there.
I think we have about 2 more. Oh wow. Okay.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm Ogidi, and my question is to Mr. Amayao. And Mr. Amayao, he's a professional blogger, and also he really inspires us very, very, very much. But I want to ask, in his presentation, he mentioned working with brands. We, the bloggers, working with brands, we get it very difficult. Even when we go, we get bounced a lot, every day. Mr. Amayao can testify that. I even DM'd you. I even DM'd you. I chop bounce. Yeah. I even today, I want to take picture with you, crap. I don't get. To promote my brand. So I want to know how to get access to the professionals and also the influencers, how to go about to talk to them, and also, but today I'll take picture with you to promote my brand too. So please, I want to know how to go with the brands, how to request to collaborate with them. That's my picture.
Okay, thank you. My name is Beatrice. So on the back of the issue of, I think in the first session, someone asked a question with regards to faking it till you make it. Now I want to ask, are the lines a little blurred? Because now we talk about packaging, we talk about branding. It's my understanding that for certain brands to work with you, for you to be able to even get some level of recognition, you need to, come off a certain way, look a certain way, and this is what most brands, most media houses are even paying attention to these days. Now, so where exactly are the lines drawn? How do we manage this? Because, yes, I could come with my, who wants to, we want to listen to those who have gained a certain level of traction, have a certain reach, look a certain way, sound a certain way. So are there really spaces for people to truly be themselves, come forward as they are? And then on the back of the issue of having diverse people, influencers talking about diverse topics. So you have people in the corporate spaces, people in politics. and carving your niche. So one thing that I have realized is that most people, in an attempt to get a certain audience, have to take the entertaining approach. Either do something that's very, has a large audience already, so starts the dancing, starts the, just to get it going, and then maybe they carve their niche afterwards. Are there really spaces for people who already by starting want to carve their niche in, for instance, let's say business, in politics? Is that, or we usually would have to look up to people like Jacinta mentioned? That's okay, because you have because you have the audience, and then you use your platform to speak to these matters. Are there spaces for people who want to start right from the get-go, start with that kind of niche? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I'm sure we're done with taking all the questions. Bros, you will wait small. Is that the last one? Is that? Wow. Okay, let's take these first sets first. Hey, first set first. Okay, before we take the next round of questions, please hold on. Let's take the first set of questions. All right. Who are we starting with? You have a lot of questions to answer.
It's a lot, and I hope I was able to take notes of every one of them. Let's start first with the very personal one. I mean, I try my very best to respond to people. Especially when I see it. That's why I asked you if I've ever replied to your message or not, because most of the time, even by design, social media is created such a way that if I don't follow you and you send me a message, it goes somewhere that I might never really go and see it. So most likely chances are that I've not seen it. But when I see it, I do always try to start a conversation. And the approach you are using is very good. You have to try your luck when you want to reach people. That's why, even for me, I carefully state my email on my profile. So if you really want to reach me, then if you send to my email, the possibility of your message being removed from me seeing it in an email is less, because the setting is quite different. So I would say you should keep at it, but if you have access to use email, perhaps do it so that your message is not lost somewhere, somehow. Also, on the bigger topic of influencers taking interest in specific things like politics, etc., rather, I'd want us to see people emerge as influencers in those spaces, so that these are people who know what they are talking about, their interest is there, and we do have them. We do have people who are talking about politics every day. And so for you to rather look at somebody who's already doing something else to shift and go and speak to that, I think it's not quite fair, because, again, it's interest-driven when it comes to people creating content and engaging on influencer basis. It's interest-driven. So if I don't have the interest for politics, it's quite unfair for you to want me to go and talk about it. There are people who have created influence in that space, and they are there. So maybe we should need more of such people, rather than trying to convert those who have already created some sort of niche for themselves in specific areas. The difference between influencer and celebrity, I mean, it's a thin line, really. For me, I'd say if you're popular, especially in the media space, traditional, and now even not so traditional, but social media, etc., you become a celebrity of sort. Your influence really depends on the audience and how they take what you give them. So then that's when you can be seen as an influencer. If you're doing something and you post something and 10,000 people are insulting you for what you've posted, you can't really say you have any positive influence on them, because by the comments they're giving you, it's like you don't even like what you're doing. So, yeah, so sometimes I think that's what makes the difference. When brands are really looking to engage with people, they're not just looking at numbers, but they're looking at they go beyond the numbers and be a little bit more analytical, seeing what kind of engagement these people have, and you sort of have some sort of fair idea as to how to engage them further. How I deal with cyberbullying. I think I have a good sense of humor, and so most of the time, I play around with it. Most likely I'll ignore you, but sometimes when I see it, just for keeping the conversation going, I put a spin on it, say something funny, and then it comes back at you, and you rather be losing out. So that's my way of dealing with cyberbullies. How to consistently create content that people like. There is no formula really, but it's important that you try different things and see what people react to. But you don't also want to keep on doing the same thing, because eventually people will get tired of seeing the same thing. So you have to creatively find ways of doing that. It may be combining videos with text, images, just show that dynamism, because audiences are changing their appetite also, because there's also option. And so you also perhaps have to see what is working on other platforms and then find your voice in how you want to bring that kind of content on your platform. What motivates me? For me, I think, like I said earlier, I've created a platform where people constantly are there looking for so the most basic sort of motivation is that, hey, look, there are people who look forward to you. They want content. So you wake up every day, you want to feed that audience. And even more personally for me, it's become work. It's what puts food on the table for my family. And so I've employed people. So I'm motivated to be consistent, grow, improve, so that all these responsibilities I have, I'm able to take care of them. So that's more on a personal. But in terms of finding inspiration for content, it's all around you. And it's quite authentic. People see that authenticity in the content when they can relate to it. And when you're expressing experiences you've gone through. I mean, some people would say, I mean, you never talk about politics. No, dude, I don't think through it and say, hey, today I must criticize somebody. But if I have a bad experience and it's in my area about road, I'm going to share it and say, I think my MP should do something about it. So I like to personalize things, and I realize it works, rather than just be up and criticizing just for that sake. Someone wanted to find out how to identify influencers for their businesses. So I think you must see what your business is, what you want to achieve, and you must see who you think speaks to that audience. I don't know. Yeah, so basically, it's just as you would want to go and advertise on a TV station or a radio channel. You're looking for the channel that you think the audience you're targeting is at. And that is the basic thing to do. It might, you might have to start with shortlisting people and then monitoring to see what kind of things they are posting, the engagement coming out, how they feed, how they react to these things, so that you have a sense of what the person's audience is engaging with. So just have that broad mindset of finding somebody you think speaks to the target you want. How do I reach deprived people? Well, I am largely online, and so anybody who has access to internet, you're not cut out. Where if I were a radio station, then I might now need more specific things so that I'm reaching this person. But I think once you have internet on your phone, wherever, and that's not by my doing that I'm depriving you of it. It's just by the location you are. But I am on the internet, so if you naturally have access to the internet and you can listen to everybody else, you should be able to also see me. Maybe the issue of language may come in. I think I have chosen to use English, but then every now and then I do some Twi content also. Helping upcoming people. Well, for me, that's why I take engagements like these serious, because that's when sometimes you can actually meet people who have questions for you. Somebody may be trying to reach you through the DM, but it's not always likely that you see that and respond to the person. But when I engage with people, either through email, and if I see your DM, I try to answer. And then sometimes you just hear questions, people just wanting to be you. They don't even know what they want. I think today or last week, sometime this week, somebody called, want to start up a YouTube channel. I should tell him what you should put on. I'm like, no, that's the wrong thing even to begin with. It's not just about creating content. You must know what you want to create, and then I'll perhaps come in to say, do it this way or that way. So that is also important. You must know what you want to know, want to do, see people doing it, learn from them, and if you have the opportunity of interacting with them, asking them for specific ways out, then even better, they guide you further. I think there was a question about being dynamic enough. So, I mean, using myself again, I think there's a time I deliberately said on my Instagram I wasn't going to do what every one of my friends were doing, where they're using Instagram to blog. I curated it more, and I'm more specific what goes there. And so some people see me like, you're no longer blogging. I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, you don't see this. But I'm like, no. Have you been to my website? Have you been to Instagram? Have you been to Twitter? Have you been to Facebook? That constantly, because I know what I want to achieve from each specific platform. So understanding the various platforms that you manage helps you to create content and allows you to be dynamic in a way, in terms of you know what is working, what is not working, and so you're able to try something. If it works, you continue. If it doesn't, you change and bring in new ones. Sometimes we don't do enough of analyzing the data we have. I don't do it that much, but sometimes it's important. It leads you to knowing what you need to change. Some people are very detailed in terms of even looking at analytics and knowing that on 12 o'clock Mondays, that's when they have more engagement, and so now they want to work within that sort of framework. All of these things will help you achieve some sort of dynamism. I hope it helps. Okay, so rebranding after messing up, which I hope we don't do that much of. But I think it starts with that initial decision to want to, you know that you've caused damage and you need to rebrand. When you start, it's not going to be easy, because there are people who are always going to refer you to the past, but it's important that you remain resolute and you don't get distracted. The truth will come. Find fun ways of getting them off your back. Be funny, ignore some people who are being consistent. You can block them, you can mute them. Unfortunately, Elon Musk says he's removing the block feature from Twitter, but you can always mute people. There's a way. This platform takes safety of people, of their users seriously. So you can, but once you've taken that decision to rebrand, you must know what the new brand is that you want to achieve and work towards it. It won't be easy, but I think people have done it locally and internationally. We've got stories of people who have come up. I don't want to say Kim, but people are there. access to influencers, I think somebody also talked about having access to brands. The truth is, it's not easy, or it's easier for some people more than others. Mine has been, I'm not a very outgoing person selling myself, but mine is to do stuff and then you see it and want to work with me. But there are some people, they can sell sand to a fisherman, and they can have sweet mouth, they'll convince you and they'll get it. So if you are if you have that, then you should be able to approach people, say this is what you have, this is what you will gain, and the chances are somebody, a brand, would want to work with you. But obviously it's important that you give them reasons to want to work with you. And this is where perhaps the idea of a rate card that she suggested comes in. It's important you prepare this kind of, I have my rate cards, and I have rate cards for corporate, I have rate cards for people doing small businesses, people who are in the art space, so it varies. I've tiered it in a way that I'm looking at what I'm doing for you and what I think is a fair reward for what I'm doing, but I'm always open to sort of bargain, but there's where I'll go below and where I wouldn't go. So I have those barriers, and I think it's important that even when you're starting at whatever stage, you have that document that sort of makes it easy to sell what you're offering, from the metrics that you need to your pricing, etc. You guys loaded me with a lot of questions. Let me see if there's one more I took down. And I mean, the question of faking it till you make it, and obviously certain things will attract attention. And before somebody wants to engage with you, they're looking at the attention you're getting. And for me, somebody who is always online insulting people, perhaps is good for selling to alcoholic drinks. It's not good for, so you should know that by what you're doing, you're cutting yourself out from a certain market and targeting more a specific market in terms of what brands can do with you. But as the individual, yours is to create that brand you want for yourself, and then the right people will associate with it. It's not easy in the beginning if you're starting, but eventually, gradually. I mean, I remember meeting people from MTN, and they were, at the very early stage, they'll be like, every annual general meeting, your name pops up, but we don't know how to use you because they are still, maybe I came up too early, they didn't know how to work with digital people and all of that. But now it's working, it's coming up, and we all started from somewhere. So whether you're new or you are already in the game, opportunities exist, and they will come. And I think you also someone talked about the opportunities for new people to be in more niche areas. Yes, but you must also understand that, yes, everybody is looking at the entertainment people. It's natural. You must understand that what you're doing by default is not going to attract the same kind of audience, but you focus on your audience, find ways to grow it so that it becomes something that brands can tap into. I think at this point I'll let the others.
Okay, so I'll just give answer to the question. Yes, talking about tourism over and over, that's my niche. So I have to promote my niche. And aside that, you see, when you look at the social media space, we don't always see this tourism being talked about. We talk about entertainment all the time. If we should mention how many musicians in Africa do you know, the list will be endless. But how many of us here can come out and say, okay, in my country, I know so tourist attractions. I've been there. That's my message. That's what I'm talking about. So we want to be intentional with how we promote tourism. It's not about the entertainment industry is separate from the, people think, I mean, you can't compare the entertainment industry with the tourism industry. They are two different things. When you talk about the entertainment part, you're talking of the musicians, those who go out like the like of Tayo Konga here. But the tourism space, I mean, who's talking about it? Who's talking about the wonderful nature wonders we have in Africa? Who's talking about it in the social media space? It's not much. So that's what I'm trying to bring out. And the moment you start coming out, you may think, oh, it's not relevant. Anybody can just go to a restaurant and snap picture. Oh, I'm here today. No. But how informative are you with the picture you've generated from a specific restaurant? What do you say something about somebody who's trying to, maybe a museum in your locality, an art gallery in your locality? Have you been there? Have you said something about it? Like, oh, you have an audience of over 100-something thousand followers. How are you preaching the gospel of tourism to them? When somebody tells you, oh, I'm tired, I feel like going out, can you boldly recommend, okay, instead of going to the hospital, can you just try and take a break at so place? Can you become an advocate of a tourism attraction in your country through your platform? That is the message. If we are talking about politics here now, we know what to say, we know where to go, we know who to talk about or whatever. But when it comes to tourism, I can assure you, go and do your research. In Africa, the youth, we are not being intentional with tourism in Africa. All we want to do is we want to be famous, we want to be influencer. In which area? Fashion, music, and that's why you can mention how many fashion brands do we have in the world today. You can mention, the youth will tell you. But when it comes to tourist attraction, in my country, Nigeria, some of my people don't even know that there is a social waterfall closer to them. That's the message we are talking about. So we want to be intentional locally. Know your locality, know your environment. Have you been going out with somebody and you're like, oh, there's an eatery so place, and like, really? And it's in my neighborhood. Know your environment for the sake of tourism growth. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
So to buttress this point, in the space of social media, everyone has what they like to see on social media. What you like, I may not like it. Probably I want to follow a mayor. You say, what is the mayor doing on social media? Well, a mayor has a lot of fan base, you understand. What a mayor is doing is using it to project to the world that there is something about this and I'm doing that you have to support, you have to follow. It shows that if a mayor can start it, anyone here can also start it. But why do you want to start what a mayor is doing? Is it because he has become famous, he has become the, let's say, global brand? You need to know what you want to present to the world. You need to be very careful, like what I said. You need to be very careful. I had an event last weekend, and the people that came for my event, I took them to my hometown, where there is hot water and cold water coming out from a rock. They were so amazed. They said, oh, wow. So all of them, they brought out their phones, they started they started creating content right from that spot. Hot water, cold water, how come? Coming out from a rock. So the place is called Ikogos, a warm spring in Ekiti State in Nigeria. So they were so amazed. So your content starts from where you are. And if you mess up with your content, if you're, let's say, you mentioned something about messing up with your content. Let's say scandal. You are a brand and you have a scandal. You need the professionals, you need specialists, you need people like Yemi Baba and co. You need professional PR guys to rewrite your story, to rebrand you. You need them to put you back on the space of the internet because your scandal lives there forever. That is internet for you. Internet is like a life-saving memory. It is in the cloud. When you mess up, you meet it there. When you're doing good, you meet it there. So anything you want to project to the world, be positive and do good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much to everyone who asked questions, and of course, our panelists for... I need signal from my organizer if we have time to pick a few more questions. Okay, and the answer is no. Because of time, I'm very sorry. But you can go to Influencers Conference on Instagram and send in your questions. We'll direct it to them, and trust me, your answers would be given to you. Because of time, we're very sorry. We can't take any more questions. Thank you so much, Amayao. Thank you so much, Alicia. Thank you so much, Tayo. And because we've had a swell day, very insightful, very informative, inspiring, educational, full of humor as well, because I did. Thank you so much for making time to come. We're not just going to let you go like that. We have something very special for you, somebody very special, all the way from Lagos, Nigeria, somebody who has taken entertainment very personal. In his hometown in Ekiti State, there is hot water and cold water coming out from the rock. I don't know, that must be the rock that Moses struck, because how dare you? So I'm sure right now a lot of people will be looking forward to going to Ekiti State so that they can take the hot water and make some tea and then use the cold water to do some Gary soakings. Okay, so on that note, I present to you Tayo Konga of Africa.
I'm sorry, I just have to reset. So every DJ wants to be familiar with the percussions now. It's not because the percussion is very, very important, but the value. Every producer wants to enjoy percussions in the music. I will just want to do one or two things, and then I leave the stage. All know this song, right? Let's go. 1, 2, 3, go.
What have you done to me? I don't know. What have you done to me? I don't know. Believe me, believe me, believe me. It has to be you. I need you. I need you from the no, no. Believe me, believe me, believe me. It has me you. I need you. I need you for my family. It must be you. It must be you. I need you. I need you. Oh. Yeah, you ready?
Are you ready? T. Ha. Are you ready? Ha.
As they start, people yagba, they start to dance, yeah. But as I enter, I'm on the party scatter, the party scatter. Tell me, are you ready, yo? Are you ready, yo? You ready, latido? Listen to the do re mi do paso latido. Hey, yo. Tell me, are you ready, yo? You ready to pass on latido? Spyro, I only need one life. See as we dey like beans and rice.
Yeah.
I will never leave
Accra, Ghana. I will never.
I dedicate my time to you, my guy. Even if the road be rough, I don't mind. 'Cause you be my G for life. Yeah, I'm feeling good tonight. 'Cause I did here with my guys. I got plenty for my mind, but right now I'm with my guys. I don't fear them got my back.
If you're still sitting down, you're the Lord thing. Let's do this. Who is the guy?
I thank God for my real G's. Good friends will be money.
Only me. I love you, Accra, Ghana. Thank you. I will never leave your side. I will never. I dedicate. Thank you.
You, my guy. Even if the road be rough, I don't mind. 'Cause you be my G
Hey. If you're feeling spiritual, let me hear you say yeah. Ah, la. Oh, la.
They know my story.
Oh, let's go.
Dog studio. I be hustle to work. Say, me and Siri. From old dog studio. We been hustle to work. My people,
Thank you, DJ. Thank you,
my
sir.
people suffer. Them they pray for blessing. My people them they pray for blessing, for better living. Kilo dale, aye ole to yo, aye oni double. Adura lo le she o, call on daddy.
Mr. DJ, thank you very much. Special respect for this wonderful DJ. I love you, everyone. My name is Tayo Konga, Africa.
Okay, so I'm Gakwe, a singer and a songwriter, and I want to do something with him. So we are doing something on Terminator. I did a verse on it. So you all know the song. I'm at a point in life, if you understand me or not. Me, I'm okay. I'm okay. And if you think I'm wrong or not, as long as it's all I want me, I'm okay. I'm okay. 'Cause who are you to judge me like say you be holy? Sing with me. I dey live my life, got my peace of mind, I dey try survive. We all be seen as my party, nobody holy pass, yeah, my happiness confess. Okay, so listen. And so you, who are you? Nkadubani, Asabi, Scooby-Doo, Sigbavu, in Kirian, Versace, fitting Jimmy Choo, Big Time Move, Killer B and King and me, I'm season 2, reviving Terminator. Right, boy, anyhow you want, turn off it to deliver. And if you no be peace of mind, Charlie, waiting Monday find. And if you no be l'argent, you no go find me for here. Nowhere cool, I go there where I dey you and so. Who are you to judge me like say you be holy pass? I dey live my life, got my peace of mind, I dey try survive. We all be seen as my party, nobody holy pass. Yeah, my happiness confess, I never come left to stress. Yeah. I be like, hey, I pass the doctor. I be like, hey, I pass the doctor. I be like Terminator. I did deliver. I pass the doctor. Hey, I be like Terminator. I did deliver. Thank you very much.
Let's celebrate him. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Let's go. Thank you, Yabi Baba. Thank you, Abragana. I love you all. From Lagos, Nigeria.
I'm at the point in life, if you understand me or not, misunderstand me or not, I'm okay. I'm okay. And if you think I'm wrong or not, long as it's what I want me, I'm okay. I'm okay. 'Cause who are you to judge me like say you be holy pass? I dey love my life, get my peace of mind, I dey try survive. We all be sinners, my party, nobody holy pass. And my happiness comes first, I never come left to stress, yeah. I be like Terminator, I dey deliver, I pass the doctor. I be like Terminator, I dey deliver, I pass the doctor. I be like Terminator, I dey deliver, I pass the doctor. I be like Terminator, I dey deliver, I pass the doctor. Check. All I do is keep it real and cool. What I cannot do, I no go do myself like I go feel do. I know I won't. I see you, you did do I'm good. I feel to kill you. I know if I did you, but then I'm not stopping, I'm flopping, busy and disrupting, running, I'm walking, I'm joking. Feeling the vibe cause I love my life. They claim they love you back in the low. Stabbing your back, they want to see you in pain. If you never know, don't worry now.
live without you. Yeah, send me locate, and I go pull up on you wherever you there. I go down, I know feel live without you. Be like she give me cold day, cause you just slow me for days. Oh wait, be my woman, what make you be my woman, 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 woman. What make you be my woman, woman, woman. Be my woman, what make you be my woman, 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 woman. What make you be my woman, woman. She get vibe, she know the long, in my heart, where she belong. She full of vibes, with her tongue. Me push it in, me she scream, oh God. She get vibe, she know the long, in my heart, where she belong. She full of vibes, with her tongue. Me push it in, me she scream, oh God. Pero, I know feel live without you. Yeah, send me locate, and I go pull up on you wherever you there. I go down, I know feel live without you. Be like she give me cold day, cause you just slow me for days. Oh wait, be my woman, what make you be my woman, 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 woman. What make you be my woman, woman, woman. Be my woman, what make you be my woman,
I want to flex my love, I want to impress, and I want to carry my love away to a place she loves. I'm a man, I want to impress, and I want to carry my love away to a place she loves. My body calling, and your body beating. Loving you, they make me forget, say I get problem. By the end of the night, enter bathroom, fresh up. I want to flex my love, I want to impress, and I want to carry my love away to a place she loves. I'm a man, I want to impress, and I want to carry my love away to a place she loves.
It's like something doing me bottle, yeah. Are you looking for me? What bottle, yeah. It's like I'm walking far away to you. Baby, don't try me, come closer, let me do you this. Big body pocket, what you say now? The way you do me so, don't call me Baba. I be needing my peace, so big body pocket, what you say now? It's like there's something running down below. When you do me like this, then I really wanna say nice things, just go shut your door. Oh, you know I be. It's till we go inside that way. Just like you want it on my life. Bacala me, you know. Another hit, you know. Another hit, you know. Bacala me, you know. Bacala me, you know. Cause if you really know my niggas, I will come through. I will come running right there with you. And you know like this, so
my name is I know the way to do you, my name is what else? My name is what else? I figure I say we're doing this together. I thought we were gonna be forever. Not me home yet, but I was trying to make it better. Sika 7 mile RGB be farmed up for Stella. I guess I didn't get the memo. Minim say in the bank, you sign it emo. You always wanna make me feel like me and Pemo. Me share once I'm recording my first demo. 2007, I'm falling my work I would dream. And until you swinging now, it's like a dream. Obey baby cry, this is too extreme. Anyway, guess how many people go stream? Cause a lot of niggas know exactly what I'm talking about. It might be cheating, but man, it's not allowed. I swear to God, so maybe I was born faithful. Until the first female who suddenly took a vow.
I see your face. Ooh, oh my days. I've been out here looking for you for days. Ooh, I just want to say, my head, you there for Jojo many a mash, many do stuff if I'm home. I do what they maybe I didn't know some kind of a film. You're too sexy, you're too bad, you're too naughty. Oh, I got to stop up, see me to talk so much, but I want to make it a sound. Make it talk so much about Vienna. Make it a sound to go and see if it's a beer. So, somebody goes and what come and be a hobby. So, somebody be mistress, and be a hobby. So, somebody be mistress, and be a hobby.
Make we scatter this place tonight. Dance and sweating like in a fight. We must settle this thing tonight. Yeah. Come, let us catch some feelings for night. Yeah. And if you tell me, say make a bello. I don't go waste time, but to do like so. Everybody me Joe, this love. This loving, no be chop and go. And because of you, I get to goosebumps all over. This feeling got me falling all over. Get as is something they do me for body, all over. I make we spend this money, all over. Now because of you, I get to go.
Everybody for you, I did just shake bello. What is up on bello? Bello, deliver like I get bello. Them say I did go sell out. Them say I did go sell out. Destiny to fortuna, I gon' make you Joe Dada. Say you get the power, sweetie passy, I'm a lucky too. Shinji Kakawa, Jesus Christi Lobawa. But them falling yakata, you know I see sabi girl they do. Only reason why them they call me Yolo. While you be fin, I'm still leading, kill anything. I know fitness, you know go fit in my shoes. High fashion, Jimmy choose. Wanna sip some gin and juice tomorrow? Let's be looking fortuna. I go make you Joe Dada. Say you get the power, sweetie passy, I'm a lucky too. Shinji Kagawa, Jesus Christi Lobawa. But them falling yakata, you know I see sabi girl they do. Yes, I can. Don't be late. I gone now, son, tea and them. Yeah. Ooh, yeah, yes, I can. Don't be late. I gone now, son, tea and them. So, are you a bomber? Yes or no? Is she your girlfriend? Make I know. Boys, we go carry go. Party about them, feel 'em for body. You the feel 'em for body. Party about them, feel 'em for body. I feel 'em for body.
Party papa, Kenny Pokia, so go to a pie bass, blue boss, Menewa, all night, Boga meat, there's one, start a bogele, gingidi, Masama Kani, I need room, Num Yao da Fantini Boom, it's a man as well, cool, boy, you want that suit, Macho no ting, say Indian film, suck, give them, if you take away, I'll drop and go, but me do my son.
Party about them, feel 'em for body. You the feel 'em for body. Party about them, feel 'em for body. I the feel 'em for body.
just come. Leave that boy be jump. Yeah, yes. Johnny just come. Leave that boy be jump. How far past street? You dey run your mouth. I no tell you, I shall only be cheap. Call me your boss. If you too lightweight, if I'm gonna come at your teeth. Hey, Captain, son.
Funny from
Allah, whoa yo, sit in. Allah, whoa yo, funny from Allah, whoa yo, sit in. Allah, whoa yo, funny from Allah, whoa yo, sit in. Allah, whoa yo, funny from Allah, whoa yo, sit in. Allah, whoa yo, funny from.
I don't tag on family. Yeah, I don't tag on family. I don't tag on family. Yeah, I don't tag on family. Charlie, right now the mood that they inside here. Be like say I want buy Dubai. So mind you too.
Did you know that you're beautiful? I'm on baby. I will love you till the end. My sweetie pie, I hope you understand. I will love you till the end. I'm on baby. Some move for man, some move for the lady.
I want to go and so me a chinchilla. Baby, I groove you, pimpilla. Shabby Van Dam way, more villa. Oh, ya, me done the painkiller. Oh, you fresh man, yo, who a chinchilla. Send me your docuna, on inchinam. Pududum, padada. You know, you will crum, you will tum. I am a otunko, only bitty in the near her. Forgetting on Nayanante, flow kinaba. I shouldn't mean the mechi me gaga in a bar. Me said I could be a nipa on a high naba. Me poka cara, me jina, semi kata in a pie. Jimmy still in the ride. Golo, baby girl, golo, baby girl, golo, baby girl, golo. Hey, now she golo. Hey, lele. Obana na nimdu ya fe. Many bana soap na ma ye mere na wa ya ma me tree ma ge de. Ah, de. Ene de obe ya ma na ye fe. I'm not watching se peche. Or the safa who ana shray. Ah, suku mama, me do dada. Se me jama o kwa mara. Gutu mama, usu aba. Ene ya me bossika tu papa. The big girl killing it. Se me bo punu mu a hene me. Dear me can't be no pen me. Or hene me. Manani gold, baby you be spending in it. Golo, baby girl golo, baby girl golo, baby girl golo. Hey, now she golo. I'm a so mommy feel it yeah. I go show you say boys they are. Tonight you forgive it to me bad. And the money go the flow say me rap. I'm a so good mommy feel it yeah. I go show you say boys they are. I know we need to forgive it to me bad. She like money go the flow say me rap. I know we need. It's that Ghana, find him, link up. Atakel, watapa, with the wawa. What's it? Everybody boom. Cats, fat, KDK. Them say we know they do nothing, but them they like our thing. You know be anything, but them they feel our thing. Go to every party, wanna song you go take party. You know be man thing. Remember say you be Jah mighty. One more time make we give them that pa, KDK. That thing be the girl, the mating, yeah. That thing be the guy, the mating, yeah. Yo, you know be every time way you for crack your brain. Sometimes we they shut up, they slow and they go off late. Yeah, the sana, yes, yeah, but no mood, yeah. Johnny Wale, fame, hear me now. I'm in the old alley. And it's a worldwide thing now. Everybody.
Flames has the
Minister. Let's bust.
Welcome to the Enjoyment Ministry. Welcome, Accra. The turn up is here. Let the music work. We're partying all the way till 9 in the morning. Is that deep like I see? Is that the Enjoyment Ministry I see? Turn up, let's go. Get to me the problem. Open your mind, to be your awareness. No one knows you walk, we never back up. Roll the enemy up, smoke like ganja. Jungle party is a nigga. She your bank and go. Miss Bobo, check it on me at that book. Check it on me, check it.